गुवाहाटी में जो मैंने देखा है, like 3 or 4 months of the year, after about दिसंबर से पहले से फैन मेरा बंद हो जाता है, and it
Hmm.
continues till about Feb or further. I can hear myself.
हाँ,
Yeah,
it
there's
will
a
like
Yeah,
yeah.
it's cold enough here. Like it's quite, and I remember a time when college से just निकल के मैं आया था, गुवाहाटी घुसा, and for 6 months I had to stay there, and it was winters, peak winters, 3 4 months of winters, and
Hmm.
I realized that I can't survive, and I was shivering the fuck out every night. I was like about to die. I had a heater and two blankets, and I was like, why can't I just live normally? Where my grandparents are fine, everybody's fine. It's just me. I can't survive here. I can't
But
take in.
has it gotten hotter over the years, is what you're saying?
Yeah, it has gotten just like pleasant हो गया अब
Hmm.
डे के टाइम में it's pleasant. It's like you can just walk around without a jacket or whatever, but at night it's very very cold.
इस बार ये भी हो गया ना, शिमला और कश्मीर आर हॉटर देन दिल्ली दिस ईयर.
Yeah, I heard that, but I feel like that's something to do with like the day to day का hottest temperature of the day.
नहीं नहीं भाई, गुलमर्ग वगैरह में स्नो ही नहीं पड़ी इस साल.
Hmm.
इट्स लाइक द हॉटेस्ट ईयर ऑन रिकॉर्ड एंड ऑल दैट शिट.
Hi, I saw
तो
that, and it's
Bombay reached its highest temperature for in January ever, which is 36 degrees. It was एक हफ्ते पहले 36 डिग्री था इधर. So
या
yeah, fun stuff overall.
हाँ bro.
Um,
So I went in this weather. I करीबन 6 7 किलोमीटर दूर स्कूटी पे गया मैं, and the wind was so like on the face. Now it was really chilly, but I went to watch Merry Christmas because we were doing the podcast today. And
nice. This
yeah,
is your commitment to SRIRAM
r-
RAGHAVan.
ऑन द नो ऑन द 21st
कुछ
ऑफ.
नहीं, कुछ बात नहीं हो रही, कुछ बात नहीं हो रही है सब के बारे में. हम लोग का बात कर रहे हैं श्रीराम राघवन के
Raghavan
बारे में.
ji.
So yeah. With that, we have 14 people here for the 14 years of yeah. So we have 14 people here on episode 108 of the Discontent podcast, of the Discontent podcast rather. And we're going to talk about Merry Christmas, which is Sriram Raghavan's new movie. And if we want, we can also talk about Sriram Raghavan's filmography. This is what we used to do back in the day.
या
when जब भी हम लोग पॉडकास्ट ऑडियो होता था, एंड वी यूज्ड टू सॉर्ट ऑफ पिक अप वन फिल्म मेकर और उसकी पूरी फिल्म्स की बात करते थे. एंड वी वर नॉट सो व्यू हंग्री टॉपिकल ओनली पॉडकास्ट. वैसे इसके व्यू ज्यादा तो नहीं मिल रहे बट फिर भी. सो या, सो वी कैन डू दैट.
haven't we, मेरा यही सवाल रहेगा कि haven't we already done that with श्रीराम राघवन movies? No ना.
Yeah,
वी माइट हैव, आई
we
थिंक जब ये
you guys
अंधाधुन
have.
आई थी.
हाँ, you guys have spoken a lot about him.
बट
मैंने
बहुत
कम
टाइम हो
देखा
गया.
था. हाँ,
मतलब
but अंधाधुन के
6
टाइम पे
साल
बात
हो
हुआ
गए.
था. I feel like it's the podcast is a good like motivation like for me to watch the first one, एक
Which was?
हसीना थी,
हाँ.
हाँ.
which I have not seen yet. And
Even
you,
I have not seen Ek Hasina Thi yet, but I
Oh,
watched Agent Vinod yesterday.
nice.
I have seen Ek Hasina Thi in parts on TV back in the day when I was a kid. So I remember जेल में होती है वो
हाँ.
उर्मिला, and उसके जेल में वो सीन होता है. वो सब मेरे को आइडिया है थोड़ा बहुत, but I don't know the overall full story or anything.
एक हसीना थी, interestingly, is the most RGV-ish of his films because also it was produced by RGV. He was like a protege of him.
He was the Anurag Kashyap of that time, na?
Yeah, yeah.
And yeah,
I
just
think I
literally.
think RGV के अंडर ऐसे 10-15 शायद ज्यादा बोल रहा हूँ, but कई सारे film directors kind of got their first break, you know. And
भरत भरत तू कान में क्यों चिल्ला रहा है? कमेंट आया है शाश्वत का फ्रॉम नॉब पॉडकास्ट.
कान में चला रहा
तेरा
है.
तेरा जो बिकॉज तेरा वो माइक जो है वो फोन वाला माइक है, तो इट्स लाइक टॉकिंग
Oh,
टू समबडी ऑन द फोन.
oh
तो
shit.
टॉक लाइक योर, तो थोड़ा सॉफ्टली बात करना.
बात ठीक है, धीमे
हाँ.
बोल. Okay.
तो हाँ, मतलब ओके, फर्स्ट ऑफ व्हाट आर आवर फेवरेट श्रीराम राघवन मूवीज? आई गो फर्स्ट. इट्स जॉनी गद्दर. एंड फॉर यू गाइस, चलो बताओ.
हिमांशु.
देख अंधाधुन मेरे को ढंग से याद है like हाँ.
तो दिस इज द बेसिस, दिस इज द ग्राउंड वर्क कि अगर मेरे को याद है तो ठीक है, अगर नहीं याद है तो.
But I really like this movie, Merry Christmas. I feel like Andhadhun also tried to capture this feeling, like, a mood which is set ki raat ka time hai, ye kuch na kuch. I mean, Andhadhun had tried to create some sort of a mood, and it achieved it to some extent, but it was mostly a thriller. So
Hmm.
it wasn't as moody as it could be. I feel like Merry Christmas took its time, and
Yeah.
it really, मतलब the first half is, I think, beautiful. It take मजा आ गया. I think थोड़ा कुछ we should have taken some alcohol and
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It seemed like you need
It's
to
a
enjoy
date.
it.
It is a very good date movie, actually. It's like,
yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
could chill
it's
with this movie. You can kind
Hmm.
of get involved with the movie.
yeah.
I also like what he has done with Merry Christmas. If you're just talking about that only, Bella,
Huh.
he because it is so moody, because it has so many, it somehow does a lot of teasing. Because the premise is like a lot of, मैं ये भरत के साथ मैंने मूवी देखी और हम लोग ये बात कर रहे थे, it's like a lot of Hitchcock movies wrapped in one. So there is the obvious things of Dial M for Murder. अगर आपको याद हो, उसमें भी वो couple होता है and then they hire somebody to come to the house and he's hiding in the house.
Are
Uh,
we doing spoilers?
uh, for Dial M for Murder. अब तक इस we're doing spoilers for Hitchcock movies. अभी इसका maybe we can talk a little bit spoiler free and then we can
Yeah.
after a point we'll go into spoilers and we'll let you know before that. But so Dial M for Murder, there is Strangers on a Train, which is also again that is very similar in its characterization. Rope का जो
Yeah.
tension होता है within one house.
Yeah.
What is there is a dead body, whatever, right? So all of those things I think combine very well to make one solid thriller, but with a moody aesthetic, which I really liked. Matlab, I liked that they kept teasing the thrill in the first half and never truly getting there until eventually it starts opening up. But I prefer this vibe rather than a filmmaker who's looking to advance the plot very clearly from every if it's a thriller तो हर scene में ही कुछ ऐसा होना चाहिए जो advance कर रहा है. I get that that has its space and we enjoy those movies also, but this is a much harder thing to do to keep you hooked, which is why I think इसको उतना public reception crazy वाला मिला नहीं है जो अंधाधुन को मिला था, because it takes its time to set in.
Yeah.
So yeah, Bharat, तेरा क्या initial thoughts?
I think pretty much the same. I also felt it was. I think what made the film for me was the tone and the pacing of it. It is very deliberate. And ये Tarantino ने भी बोला है किसी इंटरव्यू में कि when you are writing your next film, you are not only doing it all from scratch, but you're also fighting your past, expectations. Okay, I'll be lower.
थोड़ा सा फट मेरे उसमें भी फट रहा था स्पीकर में सिर्फ.
So you're also fighting your past expectations, right? If you're a established filmmaker, and I think that's what has kind of happened with Sriram Raghavan. He made Andhadhun, and before Andhadhun, people, okay, maybe Badlapur was one blip, but before that, nobody really in the mainstream was very, like his name wasn't a selling point. But I think after Andhadhun became so famous and so successful.
But you know what? I think Sriram Raghavan is one of those. I mean, I don't know his personal journey, so I might be completely wrong. But he seems to me, from an outsider point of view, a very lucky filmmaker, because from like if you start off from Ek Hasina Thi, मैंने at least I know what the film is about largely. To like Johnny Gaddar, obviously. Uh, Agent Vinod, which I saw yesterday, जिसके ऊपर भी मेरे बहुत thoughts है, जो मैं बाद में बताऊंगा. But all of these movies, it seems like he's gotten the budgets to execute big stuff. Like people have always sort of trusted in his vision, I feel. क्योंकि he has been allowed to do things that maybe other filmmakers would not have been allowed to at scale so often. क्योंकि उसको बदलापुर में भी, I don't think Badlapur was a massive hit or anything like that. Even then he still got the kind of, I mean, he got the freedom to make a Andhadhun, and then this Andhadhun की बात तो it is more obvious, but till that point I think he's gotten the freedom to do exactly what he wanted, and I think that is really rare. I don't think everybody still gets that.
But I don't think he got the kind of budgets that he
I
would
mean,
have
Agent
wanted.
Uno was pretty big.
That was literally the only one
And
before.
Badlapur was with like
No,
bigger. I mean, Varun Dhawan is a big actor. Nawaz at that point had, I'm pretty sure, a big actor.
but those are I think, if I mean, from whatever I've read and known, these people always wanted to work with Sriram Raghavan because they liked his films. So
करेक्ट
Varun Dhawan approached him saying, "Sir, कुछ
राइट
कर दो."
भाई वो बहुत फनी था तूने
वो
वो
बहुत
फेक
funny,
कंपेनियन
हाँ,
वाला याद है तेरे को
हाँ, हाँ,
क्या
हाँ,
बोला
क्या
था
क्या
उसने
क्या क्या बोलो
वो
बोलो क्या
बेसिकली इन अ राउंड टेबल जिस
yeah,
जिस साल आई थिंक अंधाधुन के साल पर उसको या
हाँ,
बदलापुर वाले अंधाधुन वाले साल में
को बुलाया था.
उसको बुलाया था एंड ही वाज जस्ट टॉकिंग अबाउट his movies and Anupama Chopra was asking him about this thing, how did Badlapur get made, how did Varun Dhawan enter the Shriram Raghavan universe, how does that happen. तो उसने बोला कि Varun, at that time I was pitching the script, I was really interested to do it, and I went and pitched it to him, and at that time he was very into all these Breaking Bad and he
Breaking
wanted to do
Bad.
some dark stuff, so he got very, so I sold it as that and he came on board. मतलब उसने काफी मारी थी भाई उसके
हाँ.
इंटरव्यू में खुले में, which was very funny.
नहीं
And
बट
he said
फेयर ना
he
दैट्स
said he didn't Sriram Raghavan in that interview said that I don't think Varun Dhawan got what the film was about initially, you know.
या उसने
ओके
वही बोला, हाँ
क्योंकि
करेक्ट.
उसको लगा कि बड़ा कूल सा कुछ है, हाँ हाँ, कूल
हाँ.
टाइप का रिवेंज फिल्म है, very dark and gritty, which it was, but it was not just that kind of a thing. So
हम्म.
it was like a very huge question mark on revenge movies
yes,
which it works like that it the movie works
I think
in
yeah,
Badlapur is a damn good movie.
it's
I
a
mean,
really
yeah
good
just
film.
the premise, to run with the premise that if you hate somebody who has killed your wife and your child, and let's say that person has gotten the punishment deemed fit by society, उसको मिल गया, हो गया,
Hmm,
उसके बाद भी do you continue pursuing that? So I
correct.
think to run with a premise like that, which has frankly never been tried in Bollywood,
Yeah,
so, or I don't know about outside also. So I just think he has a very great knack for picking up premises which are the right amount of pulpy will also fit into the Indian fabric, because a lot of the stuff he does is picks up from outside. Like
yeah, yeah.
Andhadhun was of a French short film. Merry Christmas is from a French novel.
Novel.
There, I would say even Badlapur. I don't know if it's a direct lift off, but for example, that first scene, right, of Badlapur
Uh-huh.
outside that bank, it is from a short film called Scenes Outside a Bank Robbery or something like that. It
Uh,
was on movie like some years ago. मैंने recommend भी किया था podcast में. So I think he keeps an eye open for all these even Johnny Gaddar, for example.
yeah. Even
मतलब
Badlapur also is a adaptation of a book
हाँ.
by an Italian pulp writer.
I'll tell you another reason why Shriram Raghavan का thriller सबको देखने में मजा क्यों आता है. Because he treats his characters and his audiences like adults.
Yeah,
क्योंकि वो पता है क्या करता है, मतलब the reason why I was just looking at the scene of Johnny Gaddar behind me, and I was remembering that if you are when you're watching Johnny Gaddar, if you are Johnny from that movie, it feels like how the audience tries to think one step ahead of the movie कि मैं ये कर दूंगा ये कर दूंगा. So he does all of those things.
yeah,
Like his characters will always do mostly the most logical things anyone would do, any normal person would do to get out of that situation. And then when they can't get out, that scares the shit out of you.
yeah.
I think that's why all of that works. What are your favorites in terms of?
I think Merry Christmas के बारे में I want to say something. I think Vijay Sethupathi is the right cast for all of Shriram Raghavan's movies. If you imagine him in Andhadhun
Hmm.
in place of Ayushman or in Badlapur in place of Varun, I feel like the kind of stoic nature that Shriram writes,
Uh,
it came out well with Vijay Sethupathi, very well. Like it came out so well that the film became Vijay Sethupathi. Imagine Ayushmann Khurrana doing what Vijay. It's not possible. And now think about other movies. Imagine Johnny Gaddar with Vijay Sethupathi. I don't
Sethupathi.
know.
He'll
I
do
don't
it.
know.
I think for Badlapur, he can be both Nawaz and Varun Dhawan's character.
It'll be like
Yeah.
वही लकी होएगा परेश रावल वो
Right, exactly.
है.
He
Uh,
could do that and it would seem convincing. That's a good thought.
I think it's the casting with this movie. I think with Katrina also, it's
Hmm.
on point.
Yeah.
So
It's
actually, for those of you who have not watched Merry Christmas, we can give you a bit of a lowdown on what the movie is about. On
Hmm.
one Christmas, without any spoilers, on like Christmas Eve, this is the 90s, I think. It's set in the 90s. And it's Bombay, South Bombay, Christmas night. And there's this guy who is out on this, Vijay Sethupathi, who's out alone. And he's come back from somewhere to his old home, is all we know. and then he goes out for dinner alone, and because his mother had died, so yeah, so that's why he's come back, and वो जाता है dinner पर अकेला, and there he runs into Katrina Kaif, who's with her daughter, and her husband is missing, sort of like
Yeah.
he's busy with something,
Yeah.
is what we know. And just it's the story of that night, and how obviously there will be, because it's Sriram Raghavan, there will be murder involved, and there will be other twists, which there are a lot of in this movie. And I think the reason why I find Sriram Raghavan again for such a fascinating filmmaker, again जो हम लोग पहले बात कर रहे थे भरत, हिमांशु, कि उसके बाद आफ्टर अंधाधुन यू हैव द अपॉर्चुनिटी टू मेक द मोस्ट पल्पीएस्ट, सर आप जॉनी कद्दर बनाओ, आई एम श्योर 100 people would have told him कि आप अंधाधुन वापस बनाओ, आप इसका, आप कोई और फ्रेंच बुक लेके ये कर दो, उसके बाद वो कर दो. बट आई थिंक to stick with a story that would be so decidedly not those things, and to completely experiment with something else. And I do think that Merry Christmas does not work entirely for me at the same level as the previous movies, some of the previous movies. But I still think that that risk, I would much rather watch a risky film like this than a boring thriller, which
Yeah.
is following the usual beats.
And I actually think, and this is my opinion, I'm not sure if it's universal, but I feel it's way more risky. I think this is his biggest risk yet. क्योंकि जब आप already successful हो, this is, I think arguably Andhadhun is the time when he became the most famous, right?
Correct.
Became his biggest film by miles. I think it is one of the most successful films in terms of ROI, क्योंकि चाइना में बहुत बड़ी हिट हो गई थी. I think some 10-20 times कमा लिए थे in China more than in India. 300-400 करोड़. So he, I mean, to do Merry Christmas after that kind of a film, जहाँ पे technically 1 घंटे तक कुछ नहीं होता, मतलब nothing happens. I think that's a way bigger risk than a first-time filmmaker making a risk like making a film like this. I think because you are stacked up against your expectations. कि अब क्या करेगा ये?
What are your because I don't want to get into Merry Christmas का spoilers immediately, that's why being a little guarded on that. But what are some तुम लोग का before Merry Christmas your favorite scenes from Sriram Raghavan movies? Some of your favorite scenes.
I'll go first. I think I can because I have something in mind. I think my favorite film by him is Badlapur because of the ending. Now I don't want to spoil it, but have you guys read Count of Monte Cristo? You all know the basic
The
story.
abridged version तो हाँ मैंने पढ़ा है. It's the same thing.
So Aditya, just like summarizing it for you. अब ये spoiler alert है for Count of Monte Cristo. Although
हाँ भाई.
हाँ, तो बहुत ही crazy किताब है वो. It's about this guy who's out for revenge. उसको 4-5 लोगों ने उसको रिवेंज उसके साथ बुरा किया, उसको जेल में डाल दिया, ठीक है. And he comes out of jail as a mysterious figure, and he takes revenge on all 4-5 of those people. And एक करके तो सबसे पहले जिससे रिवेंज लेता है वो सबसे लीस्ट इन्वॉल्व होता है उसके क्राइम में. एंड धीरे धीरे करके ही गेट्स टू द मास्टरमाइंड. बट द ट्विस्ट इज दैट वो सबसे ज्यादा रिवेंज पहले वाले से लेता है, फिर कम दूसरे वाले से, फिर तीसरे. बाय द टाइम ही रीचेस द मेन गाय हु डिड इट,
उसका फीलिंग खत्म,
वो छोड़ देता है उसको. वो कहता है I don't want to take revenge anymore.
Nice.
So Badlapur is kind of an anti of that. That feeling doesn't occur to that character Raghu, and even the person whom he set out to take revenge against, उसको redemption मिल चुका है life में, but he has no redemption. So I found that strangely kind of spiritual.
पर सीन कौन सा? मैंने सीन पूछा.
नहीं, ओके सीन.
एक सीन जो तेरे को जैसे, ओके चल अभी मैं बताता हूँ, फिर अभी देख. तो तू तो one of my favorite scenes is when Dharmendra catches Neil Nitin Mukesh in Johnny Gaddar and figures out that this guy has done the whole scam. And then when he's just there's this wide shot from a corner of the room. I think he's used an ultra wide lens, and उसमें वो धर्मेंद्र बैठा हुआ है, and there is this fan that is moving. वो जो टेबल फैन टाइप जो होते हैं ना, फ्लोर फैन, तो वो ऐसे हिल रहा है, एंड द न्यूज़पेपर ऑन द थिंग इज फ्लटरिंग, और ये बैठा हुआ है और इसकी फटी हुई है कि ये लोग अभी आके मेरे को काट डालेंगे, ठीक है. एंड धर्मेंद्र इज सच एन, ही इज शोन एज दिस ओल्ड स्कूल गैंगस्टर who nobody can even dare to fuck with. मतलब उसका, I love the characterization of him also in the movie because it's like कि it's just this myth building that they do around him without being
Hmm.
too, like, without narrating some story or anything, that you उसका character बड़ा हो जाता है दिमाग में.
It's the age.
So
You know,
it's
it's
the
not
age,
the
not the mileage.
ulta.
It's the mileage, not the
हाँ.
age. So वो ऐसे करके बैठा हुआ है and he's just like lounging on the thing like
Hmm.
this, right, Dharmendra? And then you, like, he's so comfortable that he never expected Neelanathan Mukesh will have the balls to pick up the gun from the table and shoot him.
Yeah.
And then when he suddenly decides to do it, it comes as such a
Yeah.
shock. Like the first time I watched this movie, matlab, that was one of my favorite scenes from
Yeah.
Bollywood till that point, I think.
That's a
So
very good
पहले
scene
वो
actually.
वाला scene, I just, because that sets the whole um, theme of the movie, right? Which is the honor among thieves. And one
Hmm.
of them is, one thief is playing by that rules even now, even
Yeah.
after the deception has been done.
Yeah.
Even now he's playing by those same honorable rules. And the
Yeah.
other one who's already broken that honor code, he's like, अभी क्या फायदा है इसको, like, to even
Hmm.
start respecting it now. So he's like,
Yeah.
I just shoot him. So I just love that. And
Yeah.
what's
That's a very
तेरा
good scene.
favorite Shriram Raghavan scene?
So मुझे एक दो सीन्स याद आ रहे हैं. I'll just tell you one. I think बदलापुर का लास्ट वाला एंडिंग ना, when Bharat mentioned it, I remembered the shot.
Hmm.
And the movie ends on it's an evening, and Varun Dhawan is just looking far into the distance towards the camera,
Hmm.
and there are like two, you know, homes का जो huts होते हैं ना, huts नहीं, मतलब घर के जो छत होते हैं ऐसे
हाँ हाँ
tapering
हाँ हाँ
towards him.
हाँ.
So it looks like two things are like, can you see it? Two things are
Yeah.
Hmm.
tapering towards him, and then he's standing in the middle. I
Yeah.
feel like I remember that shot very well because it's like a symbolic shot. It feels like he is trapped at the bottom of the hill or something, and you know,
Yeah.
and it's an evening, so it's like stuck.
Hmm.
It's there is no dawn.
Yeah.
ऐसा ऐसा फीलिंग आता है
No,
उसको देख
that's
के.
true. And he looks up. He looks up in the end, जो मुझे symbolic लगा था कि like there
Yeah.
is really no redemption
Yeah,
for the
actually, that
character.
is, those are some of the. I don't like the ending of Badlapur in general. I think the movie drags on in the end for a little too long, and
Oh.
it's also like, I really, the least I cared about in that movie was the money, and then in the end when it becomes a little bit about the money, it's just like, like, it's just
Hmm.
something that I don't care enough about. क्योंकि
Hmm.
पूरी मूवी में कुछ और चीज के बारे में मेरा दिमाग सोच रहा था. Anyway, but भरत, तेरा फेवरेट सीन
मुझे so
सीन
favorites तो as such मुझे
शॉर्ट भी नहीं, हाँ से.
I have a couple of scenes that like stand out right now when I'm
हाँ
thinking about them. I don't know if they're favorites, but Agent Vinod के दो scenes मुझे बहुत अच्छे लगते हैं.
हाँ.
तो एक scene where and I like the smaller moments in Agent Vinod more than like the big action
For
parts.
context to the 32 people who are here, who should also, by the way, like the stream, Bharat Misra is a big fan of Agent Vinod. So if you're wondering
Yeah.
why we are suddenly talking about Agent Vinod in a great light and nobody is addressing it, because ये हम लोग address कर चुके हैं internally बहुत बार. हाँ भरत, continue now.
एंड पिछले 3 साल से मैं इन दोनों को बोल रहा हूँ कि एजेंट विनोद देखो और एक ने कल देख ली है. सो वी
हाँ.
I'll watch it. I'll
हाँ.
watch. I've seen it on television. I've seen
हाँ.
the ender,
या.
the
तो
plane
So
and the
तेरा
bomb.
सीन बता, तेरा सीन बता.
so the whole film you don't know who Agent Vinod is or where what is his past.
हाँ.
And there's only one scene in the whole film where he talks about his past. And Kareena Kapoor asks him कि तुम कैसे बने whatever the like thing and he says that you know कसौल में थे या मनाली में कहीं तो थे शिमला में थे and I was on a school trip
Hmm.
and the wire of one of those वो क्या होता है
Cable cars.
cable cars broke and I was a school kid and I just held on to it forever and he's like it's like I'm still
And
holding
the
on.
rest of them died.
Yeah,
Everyone else died.
everyone else died but I kept holding on till till help came and it seems like I'm still hanging on to that thread. So that was an interesting backstory. It's an interesting way of giving you a sense of character without telling you anything about him. It is
Hmm.
what I think a spy would have done even in a moment of vulnerability. That is one.
हाँ.
The other is huge spoiler on Agent Vinod, which I don't think
कोई बात नहीं.
nobody cares.
No problem.
So Kareena Kapoor's character is dying. She's making a personal call. Okay.
हाँ.
And there's and both Saif Ali Khan's character and Kareena Kapoor's characters are dying. Okay. and there is a nuclear bomb detonator, which is,
हाँ.
if you remember,
मेरे
which
को
is
याद है, मेरे को बहुत फ्रेश
uh,
है, कल ही देखा था मैंने.
which is actually a book, which is called what? Aditya?
Agree.
नहीं
There is some fucking book that
नहीं
has
नहीं
to go somehow. There is a nuclear bomb जो एक book को आप इंसर्ट करो तो वो अनलॉक
It's
हो
like
जाए.
the detonator to the
हाँ,
bomb is
this book.
disguised as a book of Rumi or one of those.
नहीं नहीं, वो कुछ और ही है, वो कुछ रैंडम
Rubaiyat. नहीं, it's not
कोई एक
random.
रियल ऑथर की इजिप्शियन या अरेबियन नाइट कुछ तो
Rubaiyat.
वो जो भी.
Rubaiyat.
हाँ
So he says that before both of us die, I just wanted to tell you that I wanted to give you a world which where Rubaiyat was just a book of poetry and not a nuclear bomb.
बहुत
I
खराब लगा मेरे को
सुन
ये
तुम्हें
scene, इतना खराब लगा
मैं
ना.
कंप्लीट तो करने दे.
हाँ
So he says that I know I can't give it to you, but I want you to know that I tried. So
हाँ
it's again, it's those smaller moments where you see the humanity of the character, and it's not the most obvious thing to say, right? This is
हाँ.
what I kind of like in Sriram Rao and good filmmakers' films. Even the smaller moments, which could have been simply obvious, right? You could just write,
हम्म.
and these are things you can, matlab, just write and just get away
So
with.
actually, I will, now that we are talking about Agent Vinod, then
Yeah.
so एजेंट विनोद मैंने कल देखी और मेरे को क्या लगा, पहली बात तो चल एक बात तो मैं इधर बोल नहीं सकता, बट द दूसरी बात जो है
नहीं बोल सकता.
नहीं नहीं, वो थोड़ा वो पर्सनल है. वो तेरे
अच्छा,
को तुम लोगों को जो मैंने टेक्स्ट किया था, फक दैट एनीवे.
okay.
सो पॉइंट इज कि
Oh,
या
okay.
सो दूसरी बात ये है कि आई थॉट द एक्टिंग रियली लेट्स द मूवी डाउन. आई थिंक performances, I've really lately come to appreciate actors a lot, because when you see uh, some stuff and you're like कि as a screenwriter you're like कि यार ये स्क्रिप्ट तो ढंग की ही लिखी हुई लग रही है मेरे को, डायलॉग्स भी अच्छे हैं, सब कुछ अच्छा है, बट just the performance is weighing it down so much. And I felt like both Saif Ali Khan and Kareena Kapoor and everybody in that movie, I would say to some extent, looked not right for that part, and the movie did a very cardinal mistake, which is to walk that shitty line between I want to be commercial also, but I want to stick to my roots
Yeah.
of doing cinema. एंड आई एम लाइक सर आपका सिनेमा दिख रहा है, थोड़ा पैंट कर लो, क्योंकि क्योंकि आपका सिनेमा गिर रहा है. ठीक है, तो
Hmm.
आपका आपका बहुत ज्यादा सिनेमा हो गया है इसके अंदर. वो मतलब वो मूवी में हर चीज, ये डायलॉग,
Hmm.
एक ऐसा अभी डायलॉग आ जाएगा कि मतलब पूरी दुनिया ही हिल जाएगी, मतलब वो दोनों स्पाई है एंड इट्स है कि इस चीज को सिर्फ तुम ही कर सकते हो. एंड आई एम लाइक तेरा, लेकिन मूवी का जो प्लॉट है वो इतना कंट्राइव्ड है, मतलब इट वाज जस्ट टू टू कंट्राइव्ड, बट in parts I really enjoyed it. Like for example, again spoiler alert for Agent Vinod, is कि in the end, हिमांशु तेरे को बताऊं कैसे खत्म होती है मूवी, unless
देखिए
you
मैंने
want to watch
मैंने
it.
एंडिंग देख ली है, मतलब मैंने
तो
टीवी पे देखी है.
बेसिकली द इवेंचुअली द पासवर्ड इज, शुरू में एक जैसा बाय द वे सीन आया होता है कि ये जो गैंगस्टर होता है जिसके पास ये न्यूक्लियर बॉम्ब जिसने खरीदा होता है जो भी होता है, उसका एक ऊंट होता है विच ही रियली केयर्स फॉर, दिस इज इन द मिडिल ईस्ट. सो एंड ही शूट्स दिस कैमल डेड. तो
Hmm.
एंड में वो इवेंचुअली होता है, पासवर्ड क्या है, वो ऊंट का नाम है, एंड करीना कपूर वो ऊंट का नाम लेते लेते मर जाती है.
Zille.
ठीक है, जो भी हिल्ले,
हाँ.
जो भी हिल्ले, जो भी है,
Zille, Zille. Hmm.
जिल्ले जिल्ले
Hmm.
होता है, हाँ. And then he writes that, and then the nuclear bomb is saved. So I like, I understand, how when Bharat was justifying his love for animal by saying that it's a cheap, what क्या बोला था तूने,
It's like a
comic
graphic
book,
novel.
graphic
But,
novel. So
hmm.
I think Agent Vinod is literally a graphic novel. It is actually, it is good in that sense
मेरे
again.
पास है भी.
हाँ वो है भी ना,
मेरे पास उसकी graphic novel भी है,
तूने वो उसकी एक ग्राफिक नॉवल भी निकाली
which
है.
is actually very good. If
हाँ,
you anyway.
I will check it. So maybe, yeah. See, maybe if I would just read those dialogue, the it would make more sense in my head.
Yeah.
Watching these guys do it was just very like, ऐसा लग
Hmm.
रहा था बहुत
It's
ज़्यादा.
a it's hmm.
But sorry, Himanshu, one thing I will add in this. I think it's also way before its time.
Yeah.
If it had released in today's climate, अगर वो जवान और पठान के बीच में एक अगर मूवी की किसी को अगर किल्लत थी तो ये थी
ये भी हाँ.
एजेंट विनोद की, बिकॉज इट्स एक्चुअली जस्ट लाइक दोज. बट आई ऑल्सो गेट वाई इट वाज अ बॉक्स ऑफिस फ्लॉप. भाई समझ ही नहीं आएगी, किसी को समझ में ही नहीं आएगी, मतलब
Hmm.
वो बहुत इतने ज्यादा प्लॉट्स हैं उसके अंदर कि कुछ
बहुत.
मतलब 80% ऑफ द मूवी तो यूजलेस ही है. उसके बाद ही तुमको अगर देखोगे तो, मतलब आई एम नॉट सेइंग यूजलेस इन दैट सेंस, आई एम सेइंग इन टर्म्स ऑफ द प्लॉट,
हाँ.
in terms of the overall plot.
The
Like,
whole
yeah,
of, you're right, 75-80% of the film is just beating around the bush,
yeah,
which I assume Raghavan would have said कि हाँ people will like this, but it
हाँ,
didn't work, it didn't hold.
yeah.
But I really like the ending of that film, like the ending जहाँ पे पता चलता है कि कौन actual criminals हैं, and it's
So,
like this cabal.
हाँ, वो तूने पोस्ट भी लिखा है जो डिस्कॉन्टेंट के इंस्टाग्राम पर आप जाके देख सकते हो। रील
हाँ
के जमाने में हमने वो कौन है, वो जो पोएट थी पहले जिसका वो बहुत ही
कौन?
वो एक बहुत ही इसके जमाने में ये ढूंढ रही हूँ, नहीं ऐसा
हाँ
कुछ।
हाँ 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 हाँ।
उसके तो हमने रील के जमाने में एक कैरूसेल पोस्ट डाला था ऑन एजेंट विनोद।
Inspired by humans of cinema.
इंस्पायर्ड बाय, एक्चुअली इंस्पायर्ड बाय देम, बट जिस दैट हम लोग कंसिस्टेंट नहीं है तो हम लोग ने उसके बाद और कुछ नहीं, एक डाला है हमने।
नहीं, मैंने
एक्चुअली,
दो डाले थे, दोनों स्पाई मूवीज स्टारिंग
by
सैफ
the
अली
way,
खान.
by the way, I had met that said I had met Harshit and Samraj. I was in Delhi, and they will. I will get them also on the podcast. We should get them on the podcast again sometime.
We
Harshit,
haven't had Harshit, no? Or have we?
हर्षित को बहुत पहले, like when we just randomly DM'd him, and then तो उसके बाद तो we became friends only, but एक बार आ चुका है वो online, but we have to do another episode. We should.
By the way, they loved it, huh? Ahona and Harshit loved the film. Like
Oh
at
yeah,
Merry Christmas, they're big
yeah.
fans.
Bro, like it's worth
So
it.
I wanna
Yeah.
I wanna read some comments also. By the way, 23 people still here. Good to have you guys. It's nice to start again. This is हम लोग पहले बात कर रहे थे कि ये it's like a new season. हमको इसको सीजन ही घोषित कर देना चाहिए अभी, बट कोई बात नहीं। सबके कमेंट पढ़ता हूँ। ओके, अवनीश सेड लॉन्ग टाइम नो सी। विकास सिंगाले सेड वर्टिगो, यस वर्टिगो आल्सो काइंड ऑफ।
Yes.
वर्टिगो का वर्टिगो देयर वाज अ सीन इन द बिगिनिंग ऑफ द मूवी which is in the restaurant जहाँ पर ये दोनों मिलते हैं, the
Hmm.
strangers sort of meet, and the way it's shot and the way उसमें जैसे close-ups बहुत सारे यूज किए हैं, and the way it is उसका जो प्रोडक्शन डिजाइन है वो पूरे रेस्टोरेंट का is
Hmm.
exactly like that scene in Vertigo के जब भी वो when the blonde we see her for the first time
Correct,
in
correct,
that
correct.
restaurant, so very similar sort of, dude, वो हिसाब से it's a lot of fun to watch these because now I feel like rewatching a lot of Hitchcock's
Hmm.
also. So
एक और चीज, सॉरी, मैं एजेंट विनोद के बारे में थोड़ा सा हिलाना चाहता हूँ. बेसिकली आई रियली लाइक लास्ट के आधे घंटा या 45 मिनट ना दिल्ली में बेस्ड है. And
हाँ,
as a Delhiite, as a kid who grew up in Delhi, all of these very hyper local kind of places exist in it. For example, कनॉट प्लेस का निरुलाज है वहां पे, ठीक है. बॉम्ब लिटरली निरुलाज में पड़ा हुआ है. एंड एज अ किड इट्स लाइक हिमांशु.
मैं पता है अभी दिल्ली गया था एक महीने पहले और मैं someone took me to Connaught Place का नरूलाज
भाई
and said कि hot choc fudge खाना खाना
हॉट
चाहिए
चॉकलेट
तुम्हें.
फज
और
बेस्ट.
मैंने for the first time I had it and
आई होप यू लाइक इट.
I liked it. It's good. It's hot chocolate fudge. I get it. But I remember एक मूवी में भी था, आयशा या कोई मूवी थी, याद
हाँ.
है?
अरे
उसमें भी दे से ना कि क्या
अरे
हुआ
इसमें
बेटा,
तो
क्या चाहिए
नीलाज में
तेरे को,
बम
हॉट
फूटता है
चॉकलेट
ना,
फज.
मैं वही तो कह रहा हूँ.
हाँ
दैट्स
करेक्ट।
व्हाट आई एम सेइंग कि वो हाइपर लोकलाइजेशन मुझे बड़ा क्यूट लगता है. पालिका बाजार में भाग रहे हैं वो लोग. देख.
Bro, Badlapur में is shot in Pune, right? So
या
it
या
has bits
लॉ
of
कॉलेज रोड,
Law College Road भी, but it
मार्जोरिन.
has Marzorin is there in it.
या.
माजूरिन
फिर
तो है ही,
फिर
माजूरिन
इसमें
बहुत सही
Regal
है।
Regal Cinema is in this one ना, मुंबई में.
हाँ भाई,
You know, अच्छा,
मार्जोरिन जब
तो
भी
मैं
मैं जाता
थर्सडे,
हूँ
हाँ
उधर
सर,
ही उधर ही बैठता हूँ उसी चेयर पे
माजूरिन तो बहुत मजा आता है
और खा
माजूरिन
देता
में।
हूँ.
Dude, somehow their chutney sandwiches also hit different.
या
I don't
या
know what it is. They just have some really nice chutney. Anyway, Shaurya Pathak. Hey guys, era has passed, I reckon. Last time I saw you guys, Sriram Raghavan was still making his FTI grad movie edited by Raju Rani. Wow, yaar, Shaurya, that is fun, yaar, buddy. Sunny Singh.
2 महीने
What
नहीं आए
about
हम लोग, 2 महीने.
what
पता है ना तुम
about
लोग.
the technical accuracy? Why the police didn't seal the whole building? The lift concept I couldn't digest. This is all related to Merry Christmas. We'll come to that.
या.
And no podcast. Guys, Ayodhya ke okay, never mind. John Doe. Bharat seems very happy now that his elder brother is coming back to his kingdom capital, hence discussing Shriram today. So yes, nice one.
व्हाट.
भरत तू
Don't,
बहुत
it's
खुश होगा
okay
कि तेरा बड़ा भाई आ रहा है ना घर,
bro.
तेरे बड़े भाई
Bharat
का
didn't
घर
get
बन
it.
रहा है and then he is
आई
coming.
डिडंट गेट इट.
How are you not getting this, buddy? Are
It's
you just
something to do with your name, bro.
Bharat?
ओहो.
Nice.
अरे यार, ठीक है.
Good stuff यार,
गुड वन.
सब लोग आज
चलो यार, मूड में.
मूड में।
Bro, but like the whole country is on like a trip today.
कोई
Yeah.
जरूरत नहीं कुछ भी बोलने की उसके बारे में।
नहीं, पॉजिटिव भी बोल सकते, it's
अच्छा तू
everybody's
तू पॉजिटिव बोलने वाला था क्या?
नहीं, but I'm just saying, I didn't say anything.
हाँ
But our preparations on in Guwahati as well, Himanshu.
Yeah, full
bro,
on,
everywhere. In
full
my
on.
in my fucking gentrified ass suburb of Bombay, this is
Hmm.
the first time I've seen any kind of political flags being put up
Uh-huh.
everywhere. So which
It's
is
it's a kind of a हमारे लाइफ टाइम में तो पहली बार मैं ऐसा देख रहा हूँ इस
mass
टाइप का
Yeah,
mass
मास।
response.
हाँ,
yeah. एक
इट्स
बात पूछूं, एक क्वेश्चन.
कुछ सही अच्छा सवाल पूछना बस। हाँ,
हाँ
Do you think this whole thing, after it's done, do you think it will have a sobering effect?
इट माइट आई
Do you,
थिंक।
th-
it
do you think there'll be like a what do you call it? A midlife crisis? nahi, what do you call it?
midlife crisis.
नो दे
Uh,
फाइंड अनदर
Basically, what
थिंग।
you're trying to say is कि will there be enough of a issue for them to stand on after this is done? Is
डेफिनेटली।
that what you're
yeah,
asking?
yeah, but like एक overall होता है ना कि एक will it chill
Die
out?
down is what you're saying. The general,
Yeah,
is that what you're asking?
yeah.
So
यू वांट,
I disagree with you.
आई डिसएग्री टू।
I think this is a takeoff, not a
या
land. Yeah.
तूने सुना है ना अयोध्या तो झांकी है।
I got it. I
Hmm.
know all that.
हम्म,
I have a feeling that there is only about this much motivation inside a person, and it's almost like MCU ka end game.
You will
Do
be
you get me?
surprised. You will
Post
be
end game
surprised, my
MCU
friend.
doesn't hit the same, na?
नहीं
भाई
नहीं.
ये वो नहीं है ना,
ये
ये
वो नहीं है ना.
ये वो नहीं है।
ऑल्सो जिंदगी मार्वल नहीं है तो वो भी मैटर करता है। मैं थोड़े और क्वेश्चन लेता हूँ क्योंकि ये लोग ज्यादा मजे ले रहे हैं आज हमसे। तो is the Raman Raghav 1.0 available to watch?
नहीं।
Anyway, Mr.
नहीं
Pink has
ना.
asked. No, it's not available. For those who don't know, Shriram Raghavan's I guess his first feature was this movie on Raman Raghav. Hence, Anurag Kashyap's Raman Raghav was called Raman Raghav 2.0, and that was a legit biopic on the serial killer, never released. And but I think somebody I worked with earlier had done a screening of it.
या
I could maybe ask that person, but I don't think I don't think so.
बट आई हैव अ रिकमेंडेशन फॉर श्रीराम राघवन कंप्लीटिस्ट्स व्हिच इज अ फिल्म कॉल्ड फर्स्ट किल।
First kill.
फर्स्ट किल इट्स ऑन हॉटस्टार।
Hmm.
इट्स ऑन स्टार बेस्ट सेलर्स करके एक, इफ यू गाइस रिमेंबर।
पहले जो लास्ट
पहले
फिल्म
आप,
महाकाली भी वही था ना?
हाँ तो
हाँ.
उसमें देयर इज अ वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग एंड वेरी कूल शॉर्ट फिल्म स्टारिंग रणसा, इफ यू रिमेंबर आदित्य।
रणसा फ्रॉम गुलाल.
हाँ, अभिमन्यु सिंह आई थिंक हिज नेम इज।
दारू भी पीता हूँ, सिगरेट भी पीता हूँ,
और कोई,
लौंडियाबाजी भी करता हूँ,
और कोई
और
चित्रपट
भी
करे
तो
तो दे भी
ठोक भी
देता
देता हूँ। हाँ क्या?
हूँ। और कोई चित्रपट करे तो दे भी देता हूँ, ऐसा कुछ।
हाँ
एंड
बंदूक है मेरे पास, ऐसे कुछ करता हूँ। हाँ
फिर
dude,
कट
what
टू,
a great scene.
and then cut to the elder is outside the house and saying ये अच्छा आदमी नहीं है।
Bro,
but
Bharat.
that somehow I know you're talking about Shriram Raghavan scenes, but that scene, जब भी वो it cuts to just a mid shot or a close of Ransa saying
Yeah,
with a smile saying his uncle is उसका उसका बड़ा भाई पूछ रहा है कि दारू पीते हो? जी हाँ।
जी हाँ।
सिगरेट? हाँ जी। ऐसे करके बोलता है, स्माइल के साथ बोलता है। भाई
Bro,
गुलाल
साहब।
अच्छी। हाँ।
मुझे मुझे अंधाधुन का एक सीन बहुत अच्छा लगता है जिसमें आयुष्मान,
हम्म,
स्पॉइलर दे दूं अंधाधुन के लिए?
अंधाधुन
हाँ
स्पॉइलर, चलो भाई।
मैंने देखी आई
हाँ.
थिंक।
So we find out very soon in the movie that he can see, which is not there in the trailer, right? Which is very interesting. The trailer suggests completely that he can see. He can't see. He's blind. And then the movie diverts the expectation by immediately revealing that he can see, right?
Hmm.
It happens in 5-10 minutes, and now we are in on it ki he can see, and then he is called to teach piano to the actor.
Correct.
And when he enters the room, and we see in passing that he's crossing over a dead body, but he's not reacting to it. It hits you so hard. उस समय तो एक hit आता है, ठीक है? Like there's a hit number 1, there's a hit number 2, there's a hit number 3 in that movie. Like the
यस।
first hit is like, I think, the wine falling on the ground, because the wine looks like blood, but it could be wine. It पहले लगता है blood है, but फिर it's revealed to be wine. Then they just reveal the body in passing, like है, मतलब you
या
don't have to, like, he saw it, you don't have to react, he didn't react to it, so
या
he, and then he plays music for a bit while she's cleaning up, and then he's like, excuse me, can I go to the washroom? And then
या
we go to the washroom, right? And that's where the hit number 3 comes, and
Oh,
I
That's
fucking
the
love that
coolest.
hit.
that's the biggest one.
That's the
And
coolest flip because वो जब भी वो कैमरा पैन होता है और या जिस जो दरवाजा बंद होता है आई थिंक दरवाजा
Ah,
नहीं होता
नहीं
है
नहीं नहीं, there's a camera pan also.
कैमरा
It's
पैन होता है या दरवाजा खाली बंद होता है
नहीं, he enters and then there's a movement of the
yes,
camera,
yes, yes.
and it reveals that there is another person in the room. He
या
saw, but he now has to pee.
Again.
So I think the fun part about it was कि जब भी वो enter होता है the दरवाजा बंद होता है and the audience still doesn't know that there's another person.
Yeah,
So the
but he
audience is
was.
wondering why is he still pretending
Yeah,
to be blind when the door is shut and then we dude very cool वो
very very cool scene.
हाँ
Very cool scene.
so I think let's come to Merry Christmas properly
वो मैं
talk about the
रिकमेंडेशन
film
पूरा
and
दे सकता हूँ क्या?
हाँ तू क्या दे रहा था पहले
फर्स्ट किल इफ यू रिमेम्बर
first
एज वेल.
kill right
हाँ,
star bestseller
सो स्टार बेस्टसेलर पे ये एक सवा एक घंटे की फिल्म है
Hmm.
एंड इट्स ऑन हॉटस्टार अवेलेबल इन इंडिया. It's a very cool concept. You all will love it. It's a very Sriram Raghavan concept. It's about literally the first kill of an encounter specialist in Mumbai police force, and how he's trying to rationalize it. He thinks, did I kill the right guy? Was he deserving of being killed? And he's a gangster basically.
हाँ
Very interesting, very very cool psychological kind of drama. It's not a suspense as much as it is a psychological character drama. So
Hmm.
do watch it. It's, in my opinion, वो bestsellers में से one of the best. So yeah.
So I think इस पर ये उससे मेरे को वो वाला सीन आया था अब तक 56 का जहाँ पे रोज को when they're in the car and he's like नहीं not in the car when he's sitting on the balcony in that police station और वो उसको बोलता when he's telling that when he's breaking down the moral quandary of encounter killings और जब
Correct.
भी वो उसको बोलता है कि मैं तेरा अगर मैं तेरे को इधर लेके जाऊँ और बोलूँ कि इसको ठोक दे तू जानता नहीं है तो तू ठोकेगा कि नहीं ठोकेगा and then he's like confused and then he's like मैं तेरा सीनियर ऑफिसर तेरे को which is a very good thing. तो उसमें very similar
Yeah.
उसकी
It's
तो फिर
actually
completionist के लिए तो फिर वो भी है 8th column affair भी है
eight column affair.
which is the original OG जो इसकी बात कर रहा था जो राजू ईरानी ने जो एडिट की थी
हाँ, वो
इसकी
YouTube पे
डिप्लोमा
अवेलेबल,
फिल्म
YouTube पे है आई थिंक वो.
या है YouTube पर थी एटलीस्ट थोड़ा टाइम पहले तो थी सो मैरी क्रिसमस कमिंग टू मैरी क्रिसमस आई थिंक लेट्स डू स्पॉयलर्स
Yeah, sure.
मजा तभी आएगा सो overall the plot and the ending and the way the film is constructed personally मेरे को सबसे fascinating लगा to have this character who is also a murderer you know like मतलब they put his background is I think my favorite flip in the movie at least in the opening you know जहाँ पर वो where we find out पहले कि Luke Kenny है ना वो
हाँ.
yeah Luke Kenny is dead on the couch and then we see this guy say that oh I'm a murderer and then I killed my ex-girlfriend or
Ex-girlfriend,
whatever.
yeah.
So I think that was my favorite flip because that is the reason why I want to watch the movie again because now I want to rewatch the movie from the beginning as seeing that day from the perspective of somebody who's just come out of jail after 7 years
Yeah. Yeah.
killing his girlfriend. So I'm glad that you know जहाँ पर मुझे लग रहा था कि ये मूवी जा रही थी in us that Vijay Sethupathi will just play a straight man character which is just an average guy stuck in a bad situation. But when you add this element to it, I think that's what makes it very, very fascinating. And the way it is shot, the way the leading up to that is done with the जैसे हम लोग पहले एनिमल में बात कर रहे थे लोग कि एनिमल में वो जो साउंड कटिंग के बेसिस पे जो लोगों का दिमाग जैसे फट गया था आई थिंक दिस इज अ मच बेटर एग्जाम्पल ऑफ समथिंग लाइक दैट वेयर वेर
कौन सा साउंड कटिंग?
क्लासिकल म्यूजिक जब वो बज रहा होता है शुरू में जब क्लासिकल म्यूजिक बज रहा होता है एंड देन दिस गाय इज लुकिंग एट थिंग्स जब भी वो म्यूजिक व्हिच एंड्स विद हिम लिफ्टिंग द थिंग ऑन द
Yeah.
so I think that was that whole sequence for me work in my opinion was the best part for me of the movie with the flip coming that he's actually killed his क्योंकि that the way it sets it up उसके बाद मेरे थोड़े से reservations here and there but till that point the movie was just grade A to me. What about you guys?
I, if I can speak, I like two things about the film the most. One is the way he shows the flashback of Vijay Sethupathi. I think it's like it doesn't show the murder or the death at all. It just shows you what he remembers, which is that हम लोग लड़ रहे थे, हम लोग argue कर रहे थे, and the next thing I know she's dead.
Hmm.
And his confession is told in one shot, if you remember.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that was a very interesting way to do it because it also puts you it for no for not even a single moment do I not sympathize with Vijay Sethupathe's character, who's basically a killer. If you think about it, he's killed his girlfriend तैश में आके उसने murder कर दिया है. He should in I think that's the biggest.
What does that scene remind you of?
What does that
It
remind you?
Cliff
remind it.
Booth.
It
Cliff
should
Booth ka.
Cliff Booth.
Oh
Cliff Booth from
right.
Once Upon a
Yeah.
Time in Hollywood.
Same.
Especially the book version. If you guys have read the
Oh
book
right.
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood,
I have.
उसमें that's जैसे those of you guys who watched the movie, उसमें Cliff Booth का history दिखा है. He just killed his wife at a boat, and the movie it's treated as just कि हो गया और मतलब you
And
don't
that's
even
not
show
the
footage.
first murder.
Yeah,
Cliff
but the
Booth has
thing is,
murdered 3 people.
yeah, but the thing is, in the book, they go into detail, and the
Yeah.
book is actually very similar to what happens in this movie, except for in this movie, Vijay Sethupathi takes the blame. And I love the shot, dude. The way वो जो jump cuts में जब भी वो दिखा देते हैं,
हाँ.
ये सेम चीज उसी में उसमें भी की थी इन अ बेटर वे आई वुड से होमी अडाजानियाज बीइंग साइरस, जहाँ
Oh.
पर जब वो बाप के सामने बैठा होता है, जब वो बाप बोल रहा होता है दैट आई यूज्ड टू बीट अप माय सन with my ring and all of that shit,
Mm.
and then Saif Ali Khan just goes like this, he used to beat him up with your ring, and then he says I'll have to make some eggs and break splat splat something like that वो ऐसे dialogue
Oh.
होता है, and then it jump cut there's a body on the floor, jump cut to there
Oh
is a
nice.
marking of with a
The
chalk
chalk.
on the floor, which is also very similar treatment to the same
Yeah.
scene.
ये चीज अच्छी लगी थी मुझे. And the second thing that I liked is that the film works very well as a Christmas parable. It works like a there is a Christmas miracle in it for all characters. Like it's a miracle for the police to have cracked the case so easily. It's a miracle of redemption for Vijay Sethupathe's character because he says that मैं जेल से तो आ गया but you don't know the thing it holds, like the guilt of having killed your love, the one you love the most in a moment of madness. And for her, it's a miracle because her completely outrageous plan actually works and somebody sacrifices themselves for her. So I really liked how it is a very wholesome Christmas story at the end of the day. And it's, I think, his most romantic film yet. I really.
Has Sriram Raghavan, any of his endings been a truly
Satisfying ending. No, na.
satisfying, happy ending? Like
No.
for the characters, it's always had it always follows this thing of, even in Johnny Gaddar.
But
Yeah.
Andhadhun has a satisfying ending, but he does lose his eyes.
वो एंड का तुम
If you
लोग के
want to
हिसाब से
believe.
क्या है वो
वो later
What-
on we realize that he can still see.
नहीं व्हाट इज योर कंक्लूजन? वो तो ओपन एंडिंग जो उसने छोड़ी है कि वो he kicks that
डब्बा
fucking
को, हाँ.
man on the road. So what was your conclusion?
I don't
to
think he can
Andhadhun?
see. I don't know.
Even I don't know. I don't have a theory.
I don't think it's that important to the plot. It's just like a trick.
It's
Like
a,
it's not like I don't think there's an answer that he also has. He just wrote it to because it's like a blockbuster movie, na? Like a popular movie. So it
I,
needed something in the end.
I do think Andhadhun was him kind of showing off. थोड़ा
Yeah.
सा, especially second half, I thought it was हाँ चलो ये twist डालते हैं and let me pull it off the way I know I can, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
So there is a more assured approach in Merry Christmas. He's not like trying to woo you.
Yeah. So yeah, big spoiler alert. Matlab, again, another spoiler alert I'm giving you guys because this is the final spoiler. That ending. So
Yeah.
it completely changed because उसके पहले ना थोड़े टाइम तक मेरे लिए मूवी ऑनेस्टली विद द एंट्री ऑफ संजय कपूर स्पेशली थोड़ी सी ड्रैग हो रही थी. ओके, इन पार्ट्स थोड़े थोड़े एरियाज में, बट दैट एंडिंग रियली brought it back for me because the way you build up to this big moment that you sort of give up on again and again, like you know how the way the movie teases thrill to you in the beginning ki something thrilling will happen now or something thrilling will happen now. In the end, I think it teases that with the romance, that something romantic will happen,
Yeah.
then it doesn't happen. And then eventually when it pays off like that, especially with the voice of the daughter, and she starts, so it has a lot of those childlike innocent elements which it latches onto rather well. Even the acts of murdering people and doing all of those things have also been couched in a lot of sympathy and been given a lot of like you said that we feel empathy for we are
Hmm.
supposed to for Vijay Sethupathi also.
Yeah.
Katrina Kaif ka to, I mean, I'm assuming that Luke Kenny's character is supposed to be like a
Child
Abusive.
pedophile or
molester.
like a
Yeah.
beater or
हाँ
whatever,
हाँ.
right? So usme to it's a more clear this thing, but in Vijay Sethupath's case also, it is about the reasons are completely different, yet we are made to empathize with this person.
Yeah.
So there is a lot more credit given to the intentions of strangers, I
Yeah.
think, in this movie, which I really like uh,
Hmm.
What do
about
you
this.
think
Like
about
such a great
what do you think
characters.
about Katrina's performance?
I liked it. It wasn't bad.
I feel like this is for the first time मुझे लगा कि उसने acting करी है मतलब
Hmm.
but it's like a role that she kind of got her hands dirty with, like she bit into the character well. I've not
Yeah.
seen her मुझे I don't think एक था टाइगर and all these movies में like all this happens, right?
She
And
has. Sorry.
बहुत time बाद ना, like I think the camera has stayed on her uh, expressions,
Yeah.
given her space to like just do her thing, and she has not faltered. I
Yeah.
don't think she
Hmm.
is fucked up even once. Like there is no way that you can say कि अच्छा यहाँ पे remember that thing, that line we used to say कि Katrina can't act. You know,
Hmm.
everybody's cracked that joke
Ah.
once in a while. I don't think that shit works anymore. She's
Yeah.
really
No, I do think, but I do think that she's like, I think she's perfect for the part, especially because she's very good looking. I think it doesn't work without a person who's like drop dead good looking. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? And I don't mean like, I mean, there are lots of actresses or actors who are good looking, but there is a difference between like being objectively just one
I
of the
get you. I
best
get
looking
you.
people. So
It's part
I
of the
think,
plot.
yeah,
Her
and I
beauty is
think
part of the
that
plot.
way it really works very well. Also, I think she does certain things well. I think she does okay. Himanshu's gone. She does.
Sorry, you guys can hear me, right?
तेरा
Yeah.
कैमरा
Yeah.
गर्म
Yeah.
हो गया बैटरी खत्म हुई है
नहीं
मतलब
नहीं गर्म हो गया एकदम. I'm
अच्छा
Hold
switching it
on.
off for a bit. Give me two
webcam
minutes.
okay cool you stay
Cool.
with
Cool.
us on audio. So I think she does innocence very well. I think she
Hmm.
does the portrayal of innocence or those things very well. I think जब भी उसको थोड़ा सा शातिर होना पड़ता है ना मतलब her character needs to be somebody who's like clever by who's outsmarting another person. I think she tends to, I don't know, मेरे को ऐसा लगा that she was slipping out of character a little bit. That it seemed like a different movie in parts for me. And that's where I thought, but other than because a bulk of the performance was just a person who's exhausted and who just really wants to get done with this plan. I think
Hmm.
those parts she gets down very well. Also, the plot. What do you think about the staging of the plot and the decision to use this मतलब कितना कन्विक्शन लगेगा एक फिल्म मेकर को टू डू दिस थिंग कि यू आर पोर्ट्रेइंग टू द ऑडियंस कि इसने दो फ्लैट बना दिए you know identical and how she would have done that without getting detected or whatever the fuck matlab, but you're not, at least I didn't question it while
Yeah.
in the
Even I
movie.
can.
But what
I
do you think about that whole plotting decision?
I think it's, of course, like it's a leap of faith for sure. It's not like हाँ एकदम perfect uh, this thing. But I am going to say that every detective film is that. Every sort of whodunit works on that principle. Ki there is one element which is slightly not outlandish, but just a leap of faith. You have to go with the filmmaker if the rest of it makes sense to you. For example, and you can see these kind of old sobo houses. ये जैसे
Hmm.
जो दिखाया बहराम मंजिल वगैरह, which is a very typical kind of name,
Correct.
these kind of buildings. These are old 70s, 60s में constructed, even I think older
ये
than
नहीं
that.
पुरानी buildings है साउथ बॉम्बे
और
में भी there
पुरानी.
are like 110
Yeah,
120 year old buildings still and a lot of them collapse also randomly
yeah,
by the way.
correct. So it's kind of believable कि ऐसी एक building में ऐसा कुछ हो सकता है if the woman owns the bakery and owns like the
Hmm.
entire building. Of course, I mean this question kind of is valid कि पूरी building seal करनी चाहिए थी ideally.
Hmm.
But I'm saying that is a kind of leap of faith you can take with a story like this.
आई डू थिंक कि हम लोग श्री राम के प्यार में बह गए हैं
हो सकता है.
ऐसा भी हो सकता है कि मुझे
वो
ऐसा लग रहा है कि इफ इट वाज अनदर फिल्म मेकर मे बी आई वुड नॉट हैव बीन विलिंग बिकॉज आई हैव बीन मतलब इट्स लाइक इफ यूर अ किड एंड यूर दिस इज अ स्ट्रेंजर हुज लाइक कि चलो तुमको गाड़ी में घुमा के लाता हूँ if it's somebody you know you will probably be more
yeah,
comfy rather than just a random guy, you know. So I think it's more like कि I have been around the park with you, sir, plenty of times.
Yeah.
Another time I wouldn't mind, you know?
But I also think I'm trying to think objectively here, which is impossible. But I also think if there is enough material in what the filmmaker is trying to say,
हाँ,
you can overlook the things that he's pulling you away from, right? जैसे
हाँ,
नोलन की प्रेस्टीज है,
हाँ,
उसमें भी लाखों मतलब there are leaps of faith, but you are, as he himself said, that you are not busy, you're busy looking somewhere else, right?
right.
तो ऐसा मुझे भी लगा था इस फिल्म में.
Yeah,
हम्म,
nee,
अच्छा,
I also agree.
हम्म,
I think it's still real.
yeah,
मतलब रियलिटी में है.
हम्म,
अभी तक बॉलीवुड नहीं बना. कोई किसी को मतलब लाइक पीपल आर नॉट लाइक डूइंग एक्शन एंड ऑल ना, लाइक कैटरीना इज
हम्म,
आल्सो वल्नरेबल. एंड
yeah,
अगर डेकोर ही करना है, डेकोर तो कर ही सकती है यार. एक अगर अकेले उसके पास हाथ में 6-7 महीने हैं,
हाँ,
हम्म,
करी तो कर सकती है. एंड या देयर आई थिंक it's just about ki believable ki acha the motivation, like the person could be that motivated that they could have
yes.
done it over the period of a couple of months. It's not crazy out of its line. But I think apart from that, I feel that the fuck was I about to say?
अच्छा, मैं तब तक थोड़े comments है तो तू याद कर. Firstly, Anamika Tiwari, a batchmate of ours from
Oh,
college and a friend,
wow.
she said, "It's so nice seeing you guys talking together live after such a long time." Thank you for joining, Anamika.
Hey, thanks,
Hey,
Anamika.
Been a while.
Yeah.
yeah,
Also, Rohan Mehra, the ending of Merry Christmas would stay with me for a long
I
time.
want to talk about the Mary ending. I want to
You
talk
मेरी
about
want
that.
to marry? हाँ भाई
The
बता.
ending.
बोलना.
यार मुझे लगा बहुत कुछ और हो सकता था. It could have really been fixed. And
हम्म,
I
You
feel
thought the
like there's
ending was
also
bad, is what
no,
you're saying,
nahin, but I
but
think
not
they
as
could
good.
have no. I just think they could have walked out of the police station together also, and at the same time, not like he could be fine. He didn't need to like surrender. I
Hmm.
feel that after she starts speaking, the child, if Katrina just says that the she could speak, but because of her father's abusive psychotic thing, she had not been speaking for years now. If she just says that,
हम्म.
it is believable. ठीक है.
But if
Uh,
she says that, don't they have motive to for
but
her
no,
to
but
murder
no,
him?
but not. But ऐसे थोड़ी होता है conviction.
ऐसे
पर
कोर्ट में तो
बच्ची
कन्विक्शन तो
सब
नहीं
बता
होता,
दी.
बट अभी तो कन्विक्शन कर भी नहीं रहे ना, वो तो खाली अरेस्ट कर रहे हैं.
ठीक
ऑल्सो
है.
तो
बच्ची तो बता देगी ना उसको. उसको कितना कोच करने का टाइम मिलेगा कटरीना को. शी
हाँ,
विल से कि हाँ ये भाई साहब हमारे घर में ही थे और मुझे ग्लोरियां सुना रहे थे, कहानियां सुना रहे थे, व्हाटएवर.
हाँ, that the only thing is कि what if the girl says कि ये Santa Claus है, ये रात को आया था और इसने मुझे ये बोला, and whatever, then it's very believe, then he's gone, right, Vijay
या
Sethupathi. But
एग्जैक्टली.
if at that point Vijay Sethupathi just says that I stole the wallet while leaving the house, that's why it's with me. End of story.
आई थिंक इट्स स्ट्रेचिंग बिलीवेबिलिटी फॉर द कॉप्स. इट्स ऑल्सो लाइक कितना ये अच्छा ये भी आया था.
एक घर में मर्डर भी हुआ, चोरी भी
हाँ,
हुई.
दो
This guy
बार.
was trying to hit on her also, and there's a daughter sleeping also. There
या
is alcohol का bottle. एक तो bottle मेरे को समझ में नहीं आया. Why are there? What's the concept of the bottle?
अरे
ठीक है.
वो बॉटल रिप्लेस करना भूल गई बिकॉज वो ऊपर सुन लेती है कि अरे म्यूजिक खत्म हो गया. शी गेट्स डिस्ट्रैक्टेड बाय इट एंड शी doesn't know which bottle is the one which she has to like which has the इस घर का bottle basically.
ये एक
And
चीज, हाँ.
Fingerprints of the
yes,
Vijay Sethupathi
of
guy.
Vijay Sethupathi. तो I think it will show up when they have the reports. वो
हम्म.
रिपोर्ट की बात होती है कि सर अभी रिपोर्ट्स आई नहीं है, कल एक दो दिन में आ जाएगा whatever.
बट ऊपर वाले घर में तो बॉटल में फिंगरप्रिंट नहीं है ना. एंड दे टुक ऊपर
हटा
वाले
दिया
घर
था.
का. तो अभी
हम्म,
तक तो बचा हुआ है.
I
हम्म,
think one interesting thing that Shriram Raghavan does in both this movie, in Andhadhun, and in Johnny Gaddar also to some extent, is कि वो turns you into the viewer almost always. Where at some point in the movie, turns one of the characters into a member of the audience. Sorry.
हमें वही सोचा we are the viewer.
No, no, sorry. Turns one of the characters into a member of the audience in the sense कि वो जैसे अंधाधुन में he is playing the piano and watching the murder happen. So for
हम्म,
those people who are doing the murdering, this guy is a member of the audience
yes.
practically. Same thing in Andhadhun. Sorry, no, in Merry Christmas, जहाँ पर वो when the second time when she brings Sanjay Kapoor, when the plot is sort of unraveling in your head, it's unraveling in this one's head also, Vijay
हम्म,
Sethupath's head also, that what she has been attempting to do. Because till that point was, I think वो फिर भी assume करता है कि ये that the guy might have killed himself or whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
But when he sees her do that same thing, that she's just trying to find an alibi, तो
Hmm.
वो जब वापस जाता है and he's watching the whole scene play out the
Play out.
same, यहाँ पे she's flirting with him the same way and all that. So again he turns you into he turns the character into a viewer,
Yes. Yes.
and I think that is a very cool trick that adds humor to any thriller. But I think
Yeah.
अगर ये वापस से सर्व करेंगे तो फिर थोड़ा हो जाएगा इसके बाद वाली कोई मूवी में.
Acha, do you guys think the ending is kind of like Amos ka ending?
Yes, it is. I was immediately reminded of Amis.
Yeah, less darker Amos.
Yeah.
No,
It's
I think it's darker
it's
Amos.
darker,
It's darker than Amos because there's murder here, na?
I said less darker than Amos.
but
This
it is
less-
darker than
It is
Amis.
darker than Amos,
I don't
na?
think it's darker than
भाई
that.
आमिस में एक
Amos is
दूसरे को
much
खा रहे
darker.
थे, इसमें किसी का मर्डर किया है इन्होंने.
उसमें भी
हाँ.
किसी का मर्डर करते हैं भाई.
अच्छा हाँ, मर्डर भी तो करते
हाँ,
हैं.
murder
हाँ.
करते हैं, murder
एक
करते हैं.
रैंडम आदमी का मर्डर कर
वही
देते हैं.
तो उसमें तो भाई वो कोई कोई इन्वॉल्व भी नहीं है, वो तो रैंडम.
कुछ
यहाँ का
नहीं.
मर्डर तो फिर भी यू कैन अंडरस्टैंड. सो
हम्म,
हाँ.
या तो
बट हाँ, बट
but
काफी कुछ
actually
वैसा है.
very similar to Amish, not just in that sense. Even Amish, dude, Amish ka first half, just like Merry Christmas ka first half, feels like a very cool Wong Kar-wai
Hmm.
romance, you know, with the
Yeah.
mood and the music and the light.
Including the cinematography. Like
Yes.
the shooting of the movie is all like practical lights, all Christmassy and
Hmm.
dark, moody. It's like a mix of bright Christmas lights, but also ekdam the dirty, grainy look of like
हाँ,
whatever, like
ये
a
इसका लेकिन
thriller.
ऑटर काइंड ऑफ रिमार्क भी है इसमें.
The
She's
look of
also
all of his
German.
movies are very similar,
Very
except for
similar.
I think Agent Vinod.
No,
Agent
Agent Vinod.
Vinod sticks out a little bit.
No, but what I was saying, why there is a thematic consistency in all his work as an author, is कि all his characters gain something at the loss of something. They always gain something that they are yearning for. They
Hmm.
always get it, but always at the loss of
Something
something
even more
equally
vital.
or bigger.
Yeah.
That is almost in every movie. मतलब तो जॉनी कतर में तो है ही वो. जॉनी कतर एक्चुअली दो आई वाज अ बिग फैन ऑफ जेम्स हेडली चेज, क्योंकि वो बुक होती थी 100 पेज, 150 पेज, 200 पेज की मैक्स, और लैंडमार्क अंधेरी में इन्फिनिटी में जाके पढ़ता था, एंड समर वेकेशन आई यूज्ड टू रीड दोस अ लॉट. तो वो उसमें भी ऑलमोस्ट एवरी आफ्टर यू रेड अ फ्यू यू वुड फिगर आउट द पैटर्न कि इसमें दो लोग होंगे जो एक बड़ा सा क्राइम प्लान कर रहे हैं, एंड दे विल डू एवरीथिंग राइट, and then there'll be one factor that will
Yeah.
not be important at all throughout the
Yeah.
thing, but it will just completely change. So Johnny Gaddar, spoiler, in the end when she shoots him in when thinking that he's not him,
Yeah.
so again it's he's gotten everything he wanted, but in the process of उसने जो चीजें की है उसी के consequence से he loses something. Even over here he is yearning for Vijay Sethupathiy's character का, I think why it sticks out also is because just lonely. He truly badly desires love in his
Hmm.
life. He has a lot of yearning. Keep your longings at the उसमें trailer में भी था, keep your longings, check your longings before
Before
leaving
you
the movie
leaving.
theater.
Yeah.
तो उसमें like you know his writing or whatever, जो उसमें वो उसकी बुक ढूंढ लेती है उसके घर पे जाके, and the way his life has led up to this moment, and he has, तो he's just a guy who's grasping onto straws to survive,
Yeah.
and over here he finds something मतलब as that. And even the other angle of it, that it's just a, as you said Bharat, it's a Christmas parable that this random Santa comes in and saves this family from its
Yeah.
uh,
Somebody on the group, our discontent group, said this is the second film this year where Vijay Sethupathi becomes Santa. Because if you remember Jawan, उसमें
जवान में भी.
जवान में भी कहता है Santa is here या whatever the hell
हाँ.
he says. Random. But
Do you,
yeah.
Amir Khan has said, thank you sir for being here. Do you think ज्यादा slow burn के चक्कर में dry out हो गया? Dry out क्या होता है boss? Amir Khan has again said, Amish, question mark, there was cannibalism in Merry Christmas. There was cannibalism in Merry Christmas? Maybe I dozed off. तो सर को अच्छी नहीं लगी है मूवी.
Cool.
अच्छा, खराब मूवी से मुझे याद आया, डंकी देखी ना भरत तूने?
हाँ.
थोड़ा बताओ यार, थोड़ा
हाँ,
मैंने नहीं
कुछ अभी
देखी, कुछ
डंकी की
बता
बात
डंकी
करते
के
भाई
हैं.
बारे में.
डंकी का ना इट्स वेरी अनकंट्रोवर्शियल बिकॉज एवरीबडी हैज हेटेड इट. इट्स नॉट अ गुड फिल्म. इट्स
हाँ,
जस्ट अ
तू मुझे स्पॉइलर दे सकता है, पता है?
सारे स्पॉइलर दे दे,
टेल
सब
मी द
कुछ बता
ट्रैश.
दे.
भाई
हाँ,
अभी नहीं ऐसा कुछ. इट हैज नो दिस थिंग. इट हैज नो फन. इट्स नॉट लाइक अ फन ट्रैश फिल्म. इट्स जस्ट अ ट्रैश फिल्म. इट्स लाइक भाई इलीगल इमिग्रेशन को ये लोग वो कर रहे हैं,
यार
जस्टिफाई कर रहे हैं.
there
And
should be somebody to tell राजू रानी कि सर ये टॉपिक आप मत, आपके
not,
कार्टून वाले
हाँ,
मूवीज में ये नहीं चलेगी ये वाले टॉपिक.
एंड भाई नहीं मतलब ऑलमोस्ट नथिंग वर्क्स, लाइक इट्स astonishingly bad. There are fat jokes, there are female jokes, like typical WhatsApp forward jokes about
Not even good jokes, not
not
even
even good jokes.
offended but still good. मतलब
टकले लोगों पे रैंडम एक 10 मिनट का लग रहा था, होगा 2 मिनट का एक जोक है रैंडम फालतू, नो रीजन, ठीक है. एंड कुछ नहीं है यार, नथिंग, इट्स अ बिग नथिंग द होल फिल्म. एंड शाहरुख खान इज रोमांसिंग तापसी पन्नू, आई
oh
मीन,
my god.
and theirs is supposed to be a very deep romance, like it's like जन्म जन्मांतर की कहानी टाइप्स. काफी काफी क्रिंज, कुछ अच्छा नहीं है उस फिल्म में. और क्या बोलूं अभी मैं,
क्या कुछ
मतलब
पैसे कमाया गया उसने?
हाँ काफी कमाया भाई. अब मतलब राजू हिरानी और शाहरुख खान, बट आई थिंक pretty much like संजू के टाइम में मुझे याद है it earned a shit ton of money. I think it's this one's Ranbir Kapoor's most popular most grossing film yet.
Until Animal.
Not even Until Animal.
Animal earned more, na?
No. Sanju is one of the top 5 earners in all of Bollywood ever.
अच्छा.
So Sanju थोड़ा उस लेवल की थी. But I'm happy that Dunki has not done that well. And
हाँ.
it's not that good. And पूरा यार उन्होंने पूरा पंजाब ना एक सेट में शूट किया है. You can see it. And that cringe bad green screen बहुत खराब है, बहुत खराब है मतलब. And it's like laughably bad. तुम लोग देखोगे तो वो फिल्म
नहीं मैं नहीं देख रहा.
कभी मत
नहीं
देखना.
यार मैं भी
वैसे
नहीं
आज
देखूंगा।
एक्चुअली मेरे को मोटिवेशन ही नहीं है कुछ भी देखने का आजकल, मतलब सच में. क्या
हम्म.
ही देखे कोई.
तो
मैं
कुछ
बताऊं
तो
क्या
देखा
देखूं?
ना.
भाई बेर देख, द
मैं
अरे
बेर।
मैं
भाई,
देखा. आई कुडंट गेट इनटू इट दैट इंटेंसली. मुझे
ब्रो बट
मन
तू
नहीं लगा.
एक दो एपिसोड और खींच
देख
ले।
लो.
मैंने देखा, मैंने ऑलमोस्ट पूरा, श्रेया बैठी हुई थी वो देख रही थी और मैंने आधा मैंने देखा मोस्टली. उसने पूरा देखा हुआ है, सीजन 2 भी देखा हुआ है.
मैंने भी देख लिया है
हम्म.
भाई.
मैंने सीजन 1 पूरा देख लिया, बट मैंने सीजन 2 नहीं देखा।
हिमांशु जब तू सीजन 2 खत्म करेगा तो बताइए क्यों, क्योंकि मुझे सीजन 2 का एंड थोड़ा सा डिसअपॉइंटिंग लगा. लोग द पीपल आर लविंग इट, पीपल हैव लव्ड इट, बट सीजन 2 का एंड इज लाइक अ टिपिकल फकिंग अमेरिकन शो.
हम्म.
अच्छा।
हाँ, अब मुझे नहीं लगता कि मैं सीजन 3 देखूंगा, बट अगर आएगा तो. बट इट्स ओवरऑल अ वेरी गुड राइड.
अरे
अच्छा, डू वी
हाँ,
हैव एनीथिंग मोर टू टॉक अबाउट और वी कैन soon call it?
या लेट्स गो. आई मीन वी कैन डू recommendations.
Yeah, we can do our recommendations and anything
मैं
else on Merry Christmas or Shriram Raghavan cinema in general. In general, I would recommend. Look, अब मैं एक चीज बोलूंगा, अगर आपको मैरी क्रिसमस पसंद आई है और आपने हिचकॉक नहीं देखा अब तक, तो
Hmm.
देर आर अ बंच ऑफ हिचकॉक मूवीज जो आपको इमीडिएटली देखनी चाहिए. फॉर इन माय ओपिनियन देर आर, मतलब जो भी मैंने बोली थी पहले, डायल एम फॉर मर्डर, वर्टिगो, स्ट्रेंजर्स ऑन अ ट्रेन, रोप, नोटोरियस. नोटोरियस उसकी है ना? नोटोरियस इज ऑल्सो
Hmm.
डैम गुड.
Yeah.
नोटोरियस, आई रिमेम्बर मैंने लिखा था अपने लेटर बॉक्स में, इट्स अ सेकंड मोस्ट फक्ड अप Hitchcock mother-son relationship after Psycho. Very
Yeah.
cool movie. That is a very cool movie. तो ये सारी,
Rebecca is also very good. I will recommend
sorry,
Rebecca. Rebecca.
Rebecca also. Even
Uh,
which is a crop duster movie.
North by Northwest.
नॉर्थ
North
बाय
by
नॉर्थ वेस्ट।
तो
Northwest.
नॉर्थ बाई नॉर्थवेस्ट एंड एजेंट विनोद के ऊपर नॉर्थ बाई नॉर्थवेस्ट का भी काफी इंस्पिरेशन है, क्योंकि द होल ऑक्शनिंग सीन, इफ यू रिमेम्बर आदित्य,
Mm-hmm.
is very much similar to North by Northwest, and the whole tone of this kind of cheeky,
Correct.
not self-serious, you know, spy film. But yeah,
मुझे उसमें
अच्छा।
एजेंट विनोद का वही था यार कि इतना क्यों प्लॉटिंग कर रहे हो सर,
हम्म,
इतना क्यों है, मतलब
बहुत कुछ
मजा
हो
आ
रहा
रहा
है,
था. हाँ,
टू
एनीवे.
मच हो गया.
मांगशु, यू आर सेइंग समथिंग.
यार रिकमेंडेशन नहीं है, मैं पूछ रहा हूँ कि पिछ
हाँ.
2024 का 2023 का कोई मूवी बताओ जो अभी मतलब देख सकते हैं लास्ट ईयर की अच्छी वालों में।
बेस्ट
डिसीजन टू,
फेवरेट क्या थी
सॉरी, एनाटॉमी ऑफ
2023
अ
की?
फॉल देखा है क्या तुमने?
हाँ
मैंने नहीं देखी अब तक, मेरे
भाई,
पास है लेकिन.
कैसी
प्लीज
है?
देख लो, बहुत अच्छी है, बहुत ज्यादा अच्छी है. मतलब मैं आई कांट रिकमेंड इट एनफ. इट्स इज वन ऑफ माय फेवरेट फिल्म्स लास्ट ईयर. इट्स
अच्छा।
लाइक अ सेपरेशन इन अ वे.
या दैट्स
मतलब
गुड।
okay, maybe not that good, but that kind of a film.
Like it's, is
यार
it based in reality and stuff, right? And then there is a bit of a whodunit,
तुम
not a whodunit, like a,
yes, yes, yes,
okay.
all of those things.
कहाँ देख सकते हैं ये मूवी?
Movie
मूवी पर देख ले या
या
मतलब
फिर देख ले
टॉरेंट कर ले
मतलब.
भाई, क्या है, कौन ही आ रहा है लॉ सूट करने. तो मेरे लिए मेरी फेवरेट मूवी ऑफ 2023, किसने पूछा नहीं ले मैं बता देता हूँ. नान पगाल नेरुतु मायकम.
हाँ
was my favorite
It's a very good film.
by
fuck
far. कोई comparison नहीं है. So
bro, this guy Lijo, he's coming with
Malaikan something.
बहुत ही अच्छा ट्रेलर
with
था उसका.
Mammootty is his name, right? I
No,
don't know properly.
नहीं, this one Mohanlal is in this one.
Mohanlal, sorry.
पिछले वाले में ममूटी था.
Sorry, yeah,
भाई तुम
sorry.
लोग
Bad at this shit. Now we should have this podcast. Sir.
you're talking like these are the Amir and Shahrukh of Malayalam film industry.
I get you. I get you. I
No,
see
no.
you.
Amir and Shahrukh are the Mammootty and
Yeah,
Mohanlal of the Bollywood industry, sir.
yeah,
इज्जत से.
correct.
Now podcast अपने unrecommendations दे रहा है, which are he said Killer Soup मत देखना and Salar भी मत देखना. मतलब
Salar तो it was not even in conversation. कोई बोल ही नहीं रहा उसके बारे में. It came
हाँ,
out,
but
right?
Killer
खत्म हो
Soup
गया.
देखा क्या तुम लोगों ने? मैंने एक एपिसोड देखा.
How is it?
मैंने उसके आगे नहीं देखा, तो फिर मैं मतलब
Okay.
बट आई वाजंट, मैं तभी अपने पूरे होशो आवाज में ही था, मैंने पूरा देखा जितना भी देखा था. तो आई थॉट इट वाज ओके ओनली. मतलब द ह्यूमर वाज इंटरेस्टिंग एंड अ म्यूचुअल फ्रेंड ऑफ आवर्स हैज रिटन फॉर इट.
हर्षद ना.
हाँ,
मतलब मेरा तो फ्रेंड नहीं है, तेरा फ्रेंड है क्या?
नहीं मैं बोला म्यूचुअल ना, क्योंकि वो ध्रुव
अच्छा,
और
अच्छा
ये सब
वैसा.
इन लोग का दोस्त है.
भाई
वो
और
तेरा
वैसे उसने वो
फ्रेंड
भी
है?
मूवी उसने वो भी बनाई थी ना जो मामी में आई थी,
फॉलोअर अच्छी फिल्म है
फॉलोअर.
वो. फॉलोअर इज एन इंटरेस्टिंग फिल्म. यू ऑल शुड वॉच
So
इट.
the same guy is one of the writers.
भाई you should get him at
Yeah,
some
that's what I was also thinking. तो हम लोग को देख भी लेना चाहिए. फिर हमको शाश्वत की बात ना सुन के किलर
point.
सूप एक बार देख
देखना
लेना.
चाहिए. हाँ, देखना चाहिए.
हाँ, बढ़िया था भाई किलर सूप एक्चुअली. तो
Good.
तुम लोग की फेवरेट मूवी मैंने अपनी बोल दी, तुम लोग बताओ फटाफट.
यार मैंने मामी में एक बहुत ज्यादा ही अच्छी डॉक्यूमेंट्री देखी थी which I don't think I'll ever forget, called Pictures of Ghosts.
ओके,
It's by the director of Baku Rao, if you all know
मैंने
Baku
देखी
Rao.
बाकुरो, मैंने देखी.
हाँ, तो ब्राजीलियन फिल्म मेकर है एंड इट इज बेसिकली वो एक स्मॉल, नॉट स्मॉल टाउन, वन ऑफ द टाउन्स ऑफ ब्राजील में रहता है एंड द होल फिल्म इज अ डॉक्यूमेंट्री ऑन दैट सिटी. इट्स लाइक, आई टोल्ड यू आदित्य, इट्स लाइक प्रिटेंड इट्स अ सिटी बट अबाउट दैट सिटी. And
नाइस.
it's beautiful. Please watch it wherever you can. Pictures
Pretend
of
it's a city. Actually, it's about time I rewatched that also. What a great
yeah,
that thing
it's
was, docu series.
yeah. तो वैसी
मैंने
ही
मैंने बॉटम्स देखा था Amazon प्राइम में.
how is it?
It's funny. Have you guys heard about it?
I've
What is
heard
it
about
called?
it. Bottoms.
Bottoms. So,
I haven't seen.
but the problem with it is Amazon Prime में it's highly censored. So
Oh,
that is something.
भाई
वो
वो
लोग भी
Like,
सेंसर करने लग गए ना.
वो लोग कितना कुछ सेंसर कर रहे
I
हैं
think
यार.
OTT में सब censor हो रहा है and Bottoms is supposed to be like an adult
ओ
movie.
बॉटम्स
R
की बात कर रहा है तू? ओके, आई थॉट बॉटम समथिंग एल्स.
नहीं वही.
सॉरी.
It's supposed to
बॉटम
be like
उसमें वो है ना
a.
रेचल सेनॉट जो शिवा बेबी में थी.
I think so. I'm not.
Yeah.
I didn't
शिवा
see
बेबी
Shiva
बहुत
Baby.
खराब मूवी.
मैंने शिवा बेबी का एड मेरे मुंह पे बहुत थोपा गया है.
मूवी ने इतना मारा,
हाँ.
मैंने देख ली फाइनली, और मेरे को पसंद नहीं आई बिल्कुल भी.
वही.
मेरे को लगा इट वाज अ शॉर्ट फिल्म व्हिच हैज बीन एक्सटेंडेड टू. पता है उसमें क्या किया है हिमांशु? तू अगर देखिया तू रिकॉग्नाइज करेगा कि उन लोग ने खींच खींच के इसको फीचर बनाई है. जो हम लोग अपनी मूवी याद कर रहे थे, इन्होंने एकदम खींच दिया उसको,
लॉल.
एकदम स्ट्रेच कर दिए सीन्स बाय स्लो मोशन डाल के, रिएक्शन शॉट्स डाल के, और फिर इवेंचुअली वो उतना करने के बाद भी वो कुछ 55 मिनट या 1 घंटे की बनती है वो.
कोई हिंदुइज्म वाली फिल्म है क्या?
15 मिनट मूवी. हाँ,
Is there a commentary on, like, I'm genuinely asking, is it like Hinduism, Shiva Baby or
नहीं
something?
नहीं नहीं,
कोई
नहीं
इट्स
नहीं.
connection
अबाउट
है?
जूइश, इट्स अबाउट अ जूइश सबर्बन अमेरिकन फैमिली.
Oh,
एक डिनर होता है या लंच होता है, जो भी मैच होता है. तो वो कुछ तो था, बहुत ही अनोइंग लगी मेरे को. एंड आई फेल्ट लाइक इट वाज बीइंग सोल्ड एज लाइक, चलो छोड़ो अभी क्या.
Bro, but I'll tell you one movie that sticks to my mind of last year. Okay, it's still there. Like, Chup. I really think about it.
चुप लास्ट ईयर
oh,
की नहीं थी, चुप थी 2022 की.
Fuck
yeah.
off. Fuck off.
2022 की थी चुप. मैं तो बताऊं क्यों, क्योंकि हमने जब लास्ट ईयर का
क्या बात
बेस्ट ऑफ
कर रहा है?
एपिसोड किया था पॉलोमी के साथ, तब हमने चुप की बात की थी.
क्या
हाँ.
बात कर रहा है? अभी तो निकली है चुप.
भाई
अभी रीस.
चुप रिवेंज ऑफ द आर्टिस्ट 2022, ये एक बार देख ले हिमांशु फटाफट. और तेरी जिंदगी बहुत ही तेज निकल रही है, आई थिंक. तेरी
लग रहा है.
जिंदगी
हाँ, मुझे तो लगा अभी
भाग
तीन
रही है
चार
भाई,
महीने.
30 के
बट
होने वाले हैं, बस खत्म है भाई
चुप
अपना.
तूने रिकमेंड की है हिमांशु इस पॉडकास्ट पे, आई थिंक 2 बार. और
हाँ,
It's not a movie for
दिस इज द
worth
मोस्ट
recommend.
रेकमेंडेड दिस मूवी हैज बीन एनीवेयर.
भाई
आई डोंट थिंक उसने भी इतना प्रमोशन किया होगा जितना हमने किया.
बट
आर
20
बाल्की ने.
2023 की आर बाल्की की फिल्म मैं रिकमेंड करना चाहूंगा, जो कि अच्छी फिल्म है। इट्स कॉल्ड घूमर, जो कि अगेन किसी ने नहीं देखी।
जो तू ही अगेन ये भी तू ही
ये मैं
रेकमेंड करता है ना।
रिकमेंड कर रहा हूँ।
हाँ।
अच्छी फिल्म है। इफ यू एट ऑल आर इंटरेस्टेड इन क्रिकेट यू विल लव इट। इट्स द
Oh,
ओनली
I love
इंडियन
cricket.
फिल्म अपार्ट फ्रॉम इकबाल आई थिंक
हाँ
which has
ये
accurate
भरत, तुझे
cricket
मेरा
stuff.
क्रिकेट आइडिया पता है जो, इज इट
हाँ,
एनीथिंग लाइक दैट?
no,
ओके गुड, चल।
it's not.
हाँ।
Okay, it's very Bollywood. It's properly Bollywood, but उसमें क्रिकेट के स्पेसिफिक्स पे जाते हैं। मतलब ऐसा फालतू का नहीं बोल दिया है कुछ कि ये कर लो। मतलब
हम्म।
it has an actual segment where they talk about, okay, what is your bowling style and why is it the way it is. It's very interesting. That part you should watch, Aditya. Even as a reference for your thing, it's not the same. It's very different. But just watch it. Z5
अभिषेक
पे है।
बच्चन का ना मेरे साथ वो अर्पित बाला वाला मीम आता है कि ये
ये
ये दिख जाता है आप। हाँ।
बट तू देख, अभिषेक बच्चन जेन्युइनली हैज एक्टेड वेल। अगर तुझे गुरु अच्छी लगी है उसकी एक्टिंग तो फिर वैसी
मुझे
कर।
गुरु और युवा दोनों अच्छी लगी है, बट वो
बस
क्योंकि
वही।
मणिरत्नम सर थे एक डंडे के साथ खड़े हुए थे उसको।
नहीं, इसमें भी वही है। इसमें भी कोई तो डंडे के साथ खड़ा था।
अच्छा।
इसमें भी तो अमिताभ बच्चन ऑफ स्क्रीन खड़ा था पहले ढंग से कर।
ये ले, ये बिल देख, ये देख कितना हो गया। एनीवे,
वही।
तो हाँ, recommendations, any recommendations apart from these best of movies?
एक फिल्म मैं कल देखने को रेकमेंड करूंगा जिसका नाम है राम के नाम, क्योंकि हम
राम के नाम,
प्लीज।
100% रिकमेंडेशन।
घर में सब
यूट्यूब पर
जन।
अवेलेबल है और इसका सेंसर सर्टिफिकेट गवर्नमेंट द्वारा प्रमाणित किया हुआ है, आप ऑनलाइन देख सकते हो। तो हम कुछ भी इलीगल मटेरियल आपको देखने को नहीं बोल रहे,
मेरा सजेशन है
ऑलरेडी
सुबह
बोल रहे
सुबह उठना
हैं। हाँ।
और टीवी पे लगा देना बिना
और
पूछे।
एक बड़ा सा स्पीकर अपने विंडो पर लगाओ और उस पर ये मूवी लगाओ, फिर आएगा मजा। फिर देखना आपकी लाइफ कितनी इंटरेस्टिंग आती है 2 मिनट के अंदर। अगर आपको बोर हो रहा है तो ये बढ़िया तरीका है, अपनी बोर्डम तो खत्म हो जाएगी आपकी।
बाकी और भी कुछ खत्म हो जाए बट हाँ।
पर बोर्डम खत्म है ना भाई, देख जिंदगी में वो होना चाहिए, थ्रिल होना चाहिए हमेशा। और उसी इसके साथ मेरी रिकमेंडेशन है एक बुक विच आई एम रीडिंग करेंटली। इट्स अ वेरी वेरी लॉन्ग सॉर्ट ऑफ बुक, तो I don't know if everyone will be into it, but very interesting. It's called A Covenant, The Covenant of Water. Yeah, A
हम्म।
Covenant of Water by Abraham Verghese. He's a Mallu writer, and he has, yeah, I think इसी साल आई है,
हाँ।
2023 में आई है ये book,
हम्म।
and it's getting like massive praise all around the world. It's, I think, in the running for a bunch of things also, and it's just great. um, जो फीलिंग आती है ना कि एक यू रीडिंग समथिंग विच इज वेरी हाई ग्रेड फिक्शन। यू नो व्हाट आई मीन, व्हेन यू रीडिंग लाइक अ मोहम्मद हनीफ, और यू रीडिंग अ रश्दी, ओल्ड रश्दी।
हम्म।
और मैंने विक्ट्री सिटी थोड़ी सी मैंने उसका सैंपल पढ़ा, मेरे को कुछ वो नहीं लगा उसमें। और बट ये वाली बुक बहुत ही सही है। इट्स अबाउट केरला में बेस्ड है स्टोरी, ओवर अ पीरियड ऑफ आई थिंक 77 years. It starts from the year 1900 when it is ruled under the Travancore,
हम्म।
whatever president जो भी होता है उनका kingdom, and Travancore kingdom, uh,
हाँ।
under the British. And then it's after independence and all that, and it's about this one family which has this very strange affliction and or a curse
हम्म।
that one member of that family always dies by drowning. And Kerala is surrounded by water, so you can't live your life without encountering a water body or so, to
हम्म।
get anywhere, to get from anywhere to anywhere. So
हम्म।
it is about that, and it's about from the perspective of this one girl who's been married off as a child. But yeah, so very fascinating book, high fiction, great stuff, and just wonderful writing if you're into it, but very long. It's about 700 pages or so, तो थोड़ा देख के वो हिसाब से। हिमांशु, आप हमारे साथ जुड़े हुए हैं अब तक?
मैं
हाँ,
कैमरा
तो
ना, मैंने
आपका
गलती कर दी
रिकमेंडेशन
यार।
बता दो।
मेरा रिकमेंडेशन, यार आई एम स्टिल just binging One Piece and I'm at around 200 episodes. I'm just like forcing myself, like I'm not forcing myself, but like I'm hooked onto it also, but also it's long, right? So I
हम्म।
can't help it at this point.
एनिमे
I'm
How is
में
it
कभी
going?
कभी तेरे साथ ये होता है कि यार और
लंबे वाले लगता
बचकाना
हूँ मैं।
मेरे से और नहीं सहा जाएगा, और बचकान गिरी मेरे से और नहीं हो पाएगी।
क्या वन पीस का?
हाँ, किसी भी एनिमे, वन पीस में मुझे ये लगा इनफैक्ट
अच्छा,
कि
बट नहीं, वन पीस तो मुझे ऐसा लग रहा है कि इट्स डैम गुड।
इट इज
इट्स
अमेजिंग, आई एम नॉट डिसएग्रीइंग, बट बियॉन्ड अ पॉइंट इज इट टू मच आफ्टर अ पॉइंट, इज व्हाट आई एम सेइंग।
नो, अभी
ओके।
तक तो आई थिंक इट्स लाइक अभी तक तो स्टोरी निकली ही नहीं है। 200 एपिसोड मुझे लग रहा है कि स्टार्ट हो रहा है कहानी। या क्योंकि 1000 एपिसोड है ना, तो
हाँ।
200 में तो इट्स लाइक पहला चैप्टर भी खत्म नहीं हुआ है अभी तक। तो वन पीस का थोड़ा है, बट आई थिंक द बेयर देखा फिर मैंने, उसके बाद आई रेड अ बुक कॉल्ड द लास्ट मुगल, वेरी पॉपुलर। इट्स बाय
Dalrymple।
डेरिम्पल ओनली, तो वो मैंने पढ़ लिया।
वो भाई एक और
मोटे मोटे
विलियम
बुक है यार,
डैलरम्पल है।
मोटे मोटे बुक है वो सबके
पर
सब।
लास्ट मुगल उतना बड़ा नहीं है।
आई थिंक आई टुक द
इवन
लॉन्गेस्ट।
एनार्की लुक्स फैटर देन इट इज, क्योंकि वो इतना ज्यादा अडेंडम उसके वो होते हैं,
आई थिंक
मोटे होते हैं।
60% ऑफ द बुक इज व्हाट यू रीड, देन रेस्ट ऑफ इट इज ऑल
या
सोर्सेज।
इवन इनफैक्ट मैं एक ऑडियो बुक सुन रहा
हम्म।
हूँ विलियम डैलरम्पल की। आई मैंने आधी सुनी, उसके बाद मेरे को आइडिया लग गया,
उसमें
ठीक है।
उसमें रेफरेंसेस भी बोलता है क्या?
हाँ हाँ। नहीं नहीं बोलता, थैंक यू। बट वो उसमें दैट इज वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग स्टोरी डूड, दैट आल्सो।
Which one?
इट इज कॉल्ड यार, it's about the Afghan. I forget the name of the book. Wait, I'll just find out
सो
in 1 second.
एक और रिकमेंडेशन दे सकता हूँ, विच
अरे तू चार दे भाई।
माय माय ब्रदर गिव यू गाइस।
Yeah, Brandon Anderson.
भाई वो
नहीं
ऑलमोस्ट
नहीं,
मैंने ऑलमोस्ट ऑर्डर कर ली, फिर मैंने उसका सैंपल पढ़ा और मेरे को लगा कि भाई ठीक है।
नहीं हो पाएगा ना, लंबे लंबे बुक्स है सब,
Actually,
ऐसे है कि
for context, we had gone to one of Himanshu's family members got married, and we तो पूरा सीन मानना चाहिए, तो we had met your cousins who are like massively into fiction and fantasy and all of those, and they're तो जब मैंने बोला कि मैंने recently डून खत्म की, तो वो लोग बोल रहे थे कि डून इज शिट।
Yeah.
तो मैंने बोला यार ये तो बड़ी बड़ी बात कह दी आपने सर। तो फिर मैंने उसको पूछा आप क्या रेकमेंड करना चाहें, तो उसने जो रेकमेंड किया इट्स कॉल्ड मिस्ट बॉर्न सीरीज, ब्रायन
Hmm.
सैंडरसन की। करेक्ट।
हाँ,
ब्रैंडन
ब्रैंडन सैंडरसन।
हाँ जो भी
ब्रैंडन
तो वो, बट अगेन इट्स वेरी हार्ड फैंटेसी। आई फील लाइक यू हैव टू बी वेरी इनटू फैंटेसी टू गेट इनटू स्टफ लाइक दैट। मेरे लिए आई प्रेफर फ्लोटिंग एट द सरफेस ऑफ थिंग्स लाइक फैंटेसी वेयर इट्स यू नो
सो देयर इज
गेम
समथिंग
ऑफ
कॉल्ड
थ्रोन्स पढ़
हाई, देयर
लिया,
इज समथिंग
डून पढ़
कॉल्ड
लिया।
हाई हाई फैंटेसी एंड लो फैंटेसी, राइट? ये तुम लोगों ने सुना है, राइट, दीस टर्म्स?
मैंने नहीं
नहीं।
सुनी।
हाई फैंटेसी, हाई, सो हाई फैंटेसी एंड लो फैंटेसी का डिफरेंस है कि लो फैंटेसी इज हैरी पॉटर, वेयर इट्स बेस्ड इन this world, and there's like a hidden world within the world. It's based in like our earth
आर
only,
वर्ल्ड।
United Kingdom में, फिर there is Hogwarts which is a
समझ गया
hidden
हाँ।
thing. That's the low fantasy. Then the high fantasy is like Middle Earth.
Anything that is entirely removed from our world. So
हाँ,
Dune, Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones would you consider low fantasy? Because
high fantasy ना?
technically the world is still a medieval kingdoms only. उसमें उसके अंदर फिर
नहीं, but I think it's not at all our world. It's not
हाँ
Earth.
ट्रू ट्रू
So
ट्रू
it's high
हाँ
fantasy. It's
fair enough.
completely built from scratch.
गेम ऑफ थ्रोन्स इज नॉट इंडियन, इंडियन कह रहा हूँ, इन दिस वर्ल्ड अवार्ड।
Game of Thrones is not मतलब
अर्थ नहीं है।
names are changed, but the basic plot lines are on the War of the Roses, which was between the York and the Lancaster family
हाँ।
of UK, and उसको इधर use किया है as Stark and Lannister. But again, I would say it's high fantasy because वो पूरा वर्ल्ड ही अलग है, मतलब वो नाम वाम को यूज नहीं किया है। नौ पॉडकास्ट ने बेस्ट कमेंट दिया, हेंटा इज हाईएस्ट फैंटेसी। अग्रीड सर, सैल्यूट टू यू आल्सो। थ्री बॉडी प्रॉब्लम्स का ट्रेलर देखा? थ्री बॉडी प्रॉब्लम पढ़ी है
अच्छा
तुमने?
लग रहा है।
श्रेया ने
मैंने
पढ़ी थी, शी
अच्छा लग
रेकमेंडेड
रहा है।
वेरी हाईली।
पहली पहली वाली पढ़ी, बहुत अच्छी लगी।
हाँ
बट मैं मतलब फॉर अदर रीजंस नहीं पढ़ पाया
मेरे
क्योंकि
से भी
मूवी
पता
था।
है। उसके बाद मैं कभी कभी ये पढ़ता हूँ ना, मैं कोई भी फैंटेसी का मैं शुरू के एक दो पढ़ लिया, जैसे मैंने गेम ऑफ थ्रोन्स भी पहले दो बुक पढ़ लिया। उसके बाद मेरे को लगता है ठीक है समझ गया ठीक है,
बट
कूल गॉट इट। मैं my suspension of disbelief doesn't last that long.
बट थ्री बॉडी इज नॉट हाई फैंटेसी और लो फैंटेसी, इट्स साइंस फिक्शन।
हाँ करेक्ट।
इट्स वेरी हार्ड साइंस फिक्शन इन फैक्ट,
हम्म।
इन अ वे।
High
इट्स
science fiction.
नहीं, इट्स नॉट हाई साइंस, इट्स
इसीलिए
हार्ड।
मुझे डून बहुत ही सही लगता है। डून आई थिंक एवरीवन शुड रीड फॉर फकिंग श्योर। मेरे को एज अ आई थिंक स्पेशली इफ यू आर someone like me who is not able to go fully deep into fantasy, uh, I think it reminds you enough of your own world also. It is very political, it is very connected in a sense. It doesn't feel super removed. Like you can expect this to be the case of the world after say 10,000 years, which is literally what Dune is also. So
No, हाँ, but Dune का part 3 में ना, there is like this one para that ends up in the middle of the book very
spoiler है
randomly.
क्या?
नहीं, it's just written. It's like बाकी पूरा बुक चल रहा है ठीक, एकदम अपना कहानी बता रहे हैं वो लोग, जो ड्यून में हो रहा है,
हाँ,
in that another planet where people are fighting Harkonnens and the
right, right, right.
whatever. In the middle of it, just out of, I don't know, spite, the guy, Frank Hubert,
Herbert.
yeah, Herbert, he just puts in ki, who knew that thousands, 10,000 years ago, the descendant of the forefathers of this character was a guy who was going, whose name was Frank Herbert, who was going on a train from this part to this part and sitting and looking out of the window and thinking about all this.
हाँ, सर को
Lol.
मस्ती चढ़ गई उसके
हाँ,
एट
जस्ट
सम
एक
पॉइंट।
ऐसे सेंटेंस उसने बीच में डाल दिया पूरे एक न तीन ट्रिलॉजी के बुक में, ट्रिलॉजी के बीच में, एक लास्ट थर्ड बुक के एंड बीच में एक ऐसा सेंटेंस है बस,
नाइस।
उसने उसको कुछ करना था उस दिन।
एनीवे, तो आई थिंक दैट इज काफी रिकमेंडेशन भी हो गई, काफी मूवी भी हो गई, सब कुछ हो गया, सब लोग रेडी अभी, बस
Yes.
या सोने
Done.
के लिए रेडी।
जाने के लिए रेडी, होम टाइम।
गुड नाइट
Yes.
गाइस।
गुड
Good
नाइट, बाय बाय।
night.
ऑल्सो ओ 1 सेकेंड, हमारा पॉडकास्ट जिंदा है, वापस आएगा, एक
हाँ.
हफ्ते में हम लोग वापस आएंगे कुछ ना कुछ लेके। प्लीज कीप वॉचिंग, fucking subscribe, like the stream. Also, join membership if you would like to. It is a paying membership. You get entry into our WhatsApp group where you can talk about cinema with us. If you get a higher tier subscription, you can join us on our episodes also. We have another podcast called Board Juazi, विच जिसका नया एपिसोड आया था, अगर आपने नहीं देखा तो वो भी जाके देख लो, कि ज़्यादा लोगों ने देखा नहीं है, तो प्लीज़ गो चेक दैट आउट इफ़ यू हैवेंट ऑल्सो। चल छोड़िए, बाद में
भाई अभी कितने लोग देख रहे हैं? जस्ट आउट ऑफ
14
क्यूरियोसिटी.
लोग तो ग्रुप वाले ही हैं सब, बट
चलो
देयर वर
गुड.
20 बट नाउ एवरीवन लेफ्ट, तो
चलो.
नो प्रॉब्लम।
चलो,
ग्रुप वाले प्लस शाश्वत इज हियर, सो दैट इज अ नाइस फीलिंग।
कूल,
ओके, थैंक यू फॉर
बाय,
जॉइनिंग अस, विल बी बैक नेक्स्ट वीक, बाय बाय।
Thank you. Bye.
बाय गाइस।